not gonna be ideal. I was all about the Lucio pick. I honestly think that the Lucio Reaper combination is one of the most underrated in Overwatch. Period. A speed boosted Reaper, give him some healing once he shadow steps and stuff like this, and really you're gonna have a good time. But I guess I was just a little bit surprised. I'm not sure if exactly if Chad Massive was around, if it would have landed if he did call it, but that really was a deciding factor in a lot of ways for this matchup here. But Kings Row next, yes, out of the second out of 5.
Yeah, and also with the Reaper, one thing that I would actually like to see a lot from these two teams is seeing that Sombra more often. I think this is a combo that you definitely cannot ignore if you get that EMP and that Blossom coming through. This is just ideal for the team because you are putting so much damage through, but you're also that with that EMP, they don't have anywhere to run. They can't run away from it. So it's just a really good combo. We've seen a lot of teams in the scene try to use it, and it usually really works. It just depends on who gets the EMP first if we get that mirror match. And from what we've seen, we really haven't seen much of a mirror match for these two teams. It seems like Province feels more comfortable running that Reinhardt, and actually that could work here in Kingsborough.
Not against Reinhardt whatsoever, but yeah, you made a good point. I'll present it in this way. It kind of seems like these two teams have preferred far more just like the kind of typical first-person shooter, not so much the utility, not so much the Sombra, not, for example, the Symmetra or other DPSs that provide unique facets of the game. No echoes, things like this. More just straight-up damage, a more simple character, even if it's not necessarily easy to play by any means.
Yeah, but from what we're seeing now, actually, for the side of the defense, they are running a little bit more of a medical position here. We haven't seen it as often right now, but because we've seen more of the Lucio and more being played. But the Ana also works a lot of heals that will be coming through for this team, and I'm very, very excited to see also just running that Mei and that Reaper. Just those walls are going to be so important right away. Try to block one of the tanks ideally off from the attackers, and this could give you a big advantage coming through.
Yeah, that's a lot of slaying power between that Reaper and the Mei, that's for sure. Two main healers too, right? Yeah, for the side. Well, I can guarantee you Swampy on the Zarya and Vittori on this Reinhardt will need it. Coming through, Maywall out early. Parsifal almost gets called out there. Does get that necessary heal. Nasty purple though. That mixed that with the Chad Massive damage orb there, and that's going to lead, yeah, so attackers down 1. University of Colorado wisely steps back for a sec.
This is a really good defense so far. The wall so early on, just it stops the team for a second, just stops that momentum going, and that will benefit them right away.
Ooh, another wall behind as Funkmaster comes flying in. It would have been a hard pin. Not 100% sure on that one. Corner wasn't far away, so we almost made it though. We're just going to call this Mei Zur. Zur falling on that one. That is going to be the first, the first death for Providence College so far on the Kings Row.
And the defense so far is just looking really good. The Coalescence will be serving as an engaging tool, just pushing them back even more. This is exactly what they want. Parsifal will be getting that blade soon though. Oh.
A dash through on the Reinhardt yields a kill on the Ana, and just like that, defense folds. A quick team fight if there ever was one, Dryad.
They just cleaned this up, especially Parsifal having this Genji and having such a good performance with it. The blade that we're talking about wasn't even needed. Actually, that Nano didn't even have to go to Parsifal, but we'll definitely see it coming into this next fight. Now they just take control, but this doesn't look too bad if you are on the defender side. You still have that Coalescence. Actually had to be used in that prior match to try to keep him alive for a little bit longer, but now he can use it into this corner to try to make some space.
You know, I think it also kind of shook them losing their Ana off early. I think if that happens again, they'll at least be a little bit more like mentally prepared for it. But we shall see. Not a bad initial defensive performance from the side of Providence. Now, Blizzard online, Grav online, Coalescence online, Nano Boost online, an attempted wall out. Knows he misses it, but then tries for the Blizzard, and I don't think that that did not make it out. Coalescence used. Defense trying to keep this one alive. All focus on the Reinhardt. That's the way to do it. As now switch is coming from one of the dead ones. Purple out. Coalescence almost finishes the last 8% on Daddy D. That's the Hanzo on this side. Just like that, little cleanup action now for Datori and Mr. Spartan.
That was a really, really interesting fight, and now the defense is trying to take hold, but a lot of ultimates that were used just to be able to win that actually 5 all the ultimates that won't be available coming into this next fight, and this just gives a huge advantage to the attacker side, where we're going to be seeing Parzival once again on the Genji. They will have a blade, and they actually come through.
Big purple. Couple different kills from both squads, though, as tanks get very, very low. Dotori trying to swing away at this one, but he's got a really irritating Hanzo right there. Thorn in the side on that one, taking kills and more. University of Colorado, and hey, there we go. Dryad, we got our Parsifal Sombra.
Yeah, now we're going to be seeing it. Actually, we're not going to be seeing a Reaper from his team, but actually just having that Hanzo as well, having that one-shot potential is very, very good for them. They still have a few ults available, and the payload keeps moving, so there's nothing they should be worried about. The Reapers will be coming through, though, and the Colossus will be ready as well.
There's the grab off the beginning. There's the Dragons, and what is this, season 8 again? I can't remember when that one was super popular. But yeah, a wholesale team kill for the side of for the side of University of Colorado. And that'll be the first bell we get.
Yeah, they get to the second point, and they were looking so comfortable doing so. With this combo that it's so hard to counter, especially with the composition that we see the defenders run right now. You just have that garbage search, and you also have the dragons from hand, so there's actually nothing you can do unless you eat them, but you don't have any of them.
There's the nano boost, combo that with a well-placed couple swings from Funkmaster. The nano boost there is not really going to matter as this Reinhardt gets very low. Yes, that's a Tori falling even after the Robbie nano boost. Lots of Providence College players falling on this one. University of Colorado wraps this one up again.
And they take control of the situation over and over again, especially with his Hanzo having such a good performance so far. And now, yeah, they keep using ultimates, but the ultimate economy overall is always looking good. But this is a big opportunity for the defense to take control again.
Yeah, that was a really good initial push by Mr. Spartan. Now, coming out, Meteors trying to land, almost gets onto a purple Reinhardt, but just like that, both of them fall. No main tank for either of these, just the other Zarya, the off tank. Now Mr. Sparta falling as well. Well-placed shots from this Hanzo we're observing right now. 55, he'll get his healing in a second, but now pulling out Dragons right down the middle of the point. That might be enough for the University of Colorado to get this out. Grab as well. Swampy did get that one out. Both Ruby and Swampy very, very low. Chad Masson getting a lot of unwanted attention, and just like that, that's going to be University of Colorado team swaggering into point. 3 minutes, what, 2:45, excuse me, on the clock.
Yeah, they have 245, so not looking bad at all. Actually, they were struggling a little bit in that second part of the map, but once they took control of it, it was just unstoppable for them. They did so good. I believe one of the biggest highlights will definitely be Parzival. First, we saw the Genji getting goofy kills, always getting those dashes and getting those kills like you want them to. And then you see Parzival just once again getting that EMP, getting so much value out of it. And Sombra, which usually doesn't push that much damage through, but it was just more than enough for the team to play a little bit more aggressive. So this is exactly what this team needs. Now I'm just really curious to see Province and what they're going to run in the attack. It definitely seems like it's going to be more challenging for them. And they keep forcing this Reinhardt and Zarya, which is not necessarily bad, but when you are running into the aggression that University of Colorado keeps having, then it just puts things into perspective where you're going to have to play a little bit more aggressive, try to build those ultimates fast, because it's taking them about 2 to 3 minutes to build a few of them, and this is just something that's not benefiting them.
Yeah, what, so building ults, maybe a little bit faster and coordinating on them, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Such an interesting game, man. Shout out to production. That was a nice little pan through there. Just honestly, I've been playing Overwatch. I don't even know how long. And it's just, this has always been a fan favorite, right? This is an amazing map. It hasn't been changed very much for a reason, and it's just kind of cool going through and seeing, kind of thinking about the game, I guess. I don't know. Providence now on attack. That's Zur trying to get these Hanzo shots in. That's pretty successful so far. Those could have been a couple different heads right there, Dryad, but now Parzival, nice hack onto the main tank. That's going to be a dead Tori who does not live for very long. Illicit, actually I didn't even notice this. He was playing on the BAP. A purple is not going to be ideal for him. Lots of Providence College players falling. Illicit definitely wants to live through this. If Bird Boys falls, that's not going to be ideal. Hanzo can get back decently quickly. There you go, now they've stabilized.
And the control again now that ultimate that we're going to be seeing from up, he's going to be coming up soon. That's going to push the attackers even more and just force them to stay in that position just for a little bit longer. There's seconds that you don't want to waste if you're on the attacker side, especially when you're going against University of Colorado.
Yeah, this is a University of Colorado squad that has been rewarded all day long for their aggression. As I say it, there's Ruby looking super aggressive on that. He has taken down now 5 members. This might be the 6th. Did he just get a whole team kill by himself?
It seems like that's what he did, and it's just Saria is so strong. Every time you play the Saria and you're just able to pass through the shields and just melt everyone, it just seems unstoppable. And with the performance Ruby has, now you're going to be having Gravity's and Scourge.
Yeah, I mean the hack was there, but like you said, Ruby just going where he wants to. Where's the 1,000-pound gorilla stand? Oh my goodness. Big Shatter followed up with a couple different kills, and that's going to be, yeah, University of Colorado getting all the damage in the world. Funkmaster did get a little bit aggressive there. Obviously no Mercy on board, so he's going to be coming back from respawn next few seconds. Can't imagine Bird Boy will let him do that by himself. There he goes.
Yeah, Ruby again, just always getting those final blows, which is so important. Now their economy is just looking too good. One of the main things about this team is that they keep the ultimates, they don't even use them even though they know they have the advantage, and they use them all together when they know they're getting in trouble, like just now.
Yeah, that really was just good prioritization of ults. As it is though, Colorado coming out swinging. I guess the positive here for Providence is that they did not use any ultimates. They're literally what 8 Detory percentage away from being all the way full.
Yeah, and they do also just have an enable that will be used to the next fight, or at least they have to turn and trade. If they also want to invest the Gravity and Surge as well to turn and Surge and kills with the Genji, that's also a possibility.
There you go. Dragon's out as well. Funkmaster is going to be the only one who falls in that one, though. Could have gotten a little bit more, but the main tank isn't bad by any means. Providence now over. There's the Shatter. Sleep behind him as Hack lands. That's a big EMP. Everybody on the side of Providence caught in that one except for Datori. Lots of kills through it as well, so Parzival actually getting no advantage from that, really.
They actually do get value out of that, even though that EMP did get 5 and it was really good. It just didn't seem to get the value that they needed. Now they will be just pushing the payload that nobody hasn't been used just yet, and it just seems like having Stumpy getting the kills on the Saria, and then Tyrannia's also helping out with the Hanzo arrows. It was just more than enough. Now the real fight will be in this corner.
Yeah, and still got the nano boost and the blade on board. Chad Massive getting punished for his aggression on this, and now Bird Boy is going to boost everybody on in. That's just a flowing Colorado team hitting you like a tidal wave. This is, yeah, they're going to wrap this one up pretty quick.
This is just where we see the aggression from this team. They knew that they were in a disadvantage, but they know if they just push forward, they will definitely win. They almost went to their spawn, so that's also where you start seeing the confidence. The Dragons will be coming through as well in just a few seconds, so they're just more than confident. They were forced to push back a little bit.
Yeah, Funk kind of hiding out a little bit. There's the Shatter, hits everybody except for Mr. Sparta, who is blading out here. Does get the invincibility out first, but a lot of Providence members following on this one. Forced to come back, and not fighting this one bloodless is the University of Colorado. But it looks like Bird Boy and Illicit have stabilized the squad for him.
They're able to push back a little bit, but in the meantime, the fight once again will be happening in the corner, especially when you have that Saria once again coming through doing deep kills, pushing everyone back as well.
But there it is again. Illicit has had some very good timing on that. I do not believe he probably hit that as soon as cooldown came back. Illicit did after the blading Mr. Sparta, who has now switched on to Tracer. Had to make that his priority on the blade.
It's just a blade didn't seem to be in a good time, and now once again the Graviton and the Dragon's coming through.
Classic combination here. Ruby, Daddy D connect for 2 on this one. A Snooze and Reinhardt's not a great Reinhardt, but that's going to be A-OK when University of Colorado is able to clean up the way they did. Still just, what, pocket sand distance away from just the very first point of this one. Only a minute 15 on the clock.
Minute and 10 seconds remaining for them to try to push a payload. They are having a lot of trouble, but they do have the ultimates once again coming through. It just seems like when you have the ultimate advantage, you're not using it at the right timing. Like we said, that NFA that we were talking about just didn't get any value because of that.
Yeah, the value from ultimates. Again, my oh my, big old grab. Again, invincibility from Illicit, doing a lot to keep that team alive. Dreams, hopes, and everything in betweens. But Chad Mastiff, the only one falling for the Providence squad. That's the offense. And they're still rolling on. 40 seconds. About halfway there now.
They finally win the fight, but because they won it so early on, they'll give them enough time for the defenders to try to make that comeback and that recontest. And they do have that shatter that it's so hard to get value out of in this patch, but it's definitely possible. Everything else was used unless Remy is able to get a few picks and also try to build their own surge. It's going to be a really, really hard recontest for them.
Yeah, so, yeah, we could talk all day about the issues with Shatter, but no issues here. Not with this one, as both tanks and a healer get caught in that Shatter. Swampy almost dead from this one. Dotori did fall, Zur as well, and that's going to be mostly a Providence College squad just wiped. Dragons invested as well, that makes sense. Right across the middle of the point, everybody on Providence College falls as University of Colorado takes this one 2-1? No, 3-1.
Just trying to make some space as well for Colorado, like we saw with the Dragons at the end, and that was just more than enough. They took control every single time. It was just only a few fights that they weren't able to win. I believe actually only 2, when they lost point and when we saw Province able to push it a little bit more. But overall, they just had control. They knew exactly what to use, the combos that were always so effective. Like we see just always the Dragons and the Graviton Surge is so strong. It's just something that you can't ignore. Not only just to create space among the ones that are not too close, but just getting a few picks because they can't run away.
I gotta say, always with the Dragons. That sounds like something the Shimada parents would be saying to their sons. Always with the Dragons. Always, always, always. But hey, look where they landed, right? Shimada brothers making an appearance there for the Providence, I believe, the Hanzo and the Genji. But yes, anyway, 2-0 now for the University of Colorado after they took game 1-0-2 on the control. That's Nepal. Kings Row going the way of University of Colorado again after a 3-1 victory. Providence was able to open up the initial hybrid point, but not able to get much done after that. Next one is Anubis, correct?
Yeah, we will be going to Anubis, so this is just. It seems like Colorado is so strong from beginning to end that this will be definitely a challenge and just a match point that we're going to be seeing for the team. I'm very curious to see if we're going to be seeing a lot of different heroes if they decide to even go with the Junkrat, which is possible in this map when you're defending. It's one of the possibilities they just want to have a lot of damage coming through and that's slowing them down a little bit because they seem unstoppable.
What was the you can help me out here. What was the Jake copy pasta about, like Junkrat on Anubis? Something like, oh yeah, Jake is in your room at 4 a.m. with a riptire. What do you do? Like, what WID? Yeah,
Yeah.
and that literally came from his Temple of Anubis performances, kind of proving that Junkrat can definitely be used there, especially given a lot of the bottlenecks that these team fights have to come down to. But interesting stuff. Of course, the classic 2CP, the assault, not in any way similar really to the control, like kind of like more King of the Hillish, or your pushing payloads and taking points hybrid. So I could see Providence taking this map to push it to a game 4, but if we had to make predictions, I would have to say the University of Colorado is probably going to pull out the broom and get a sweep going.
Yeah, they just seem so strong all the time. They know how to win fights. They know how to save ultimate abilities. Usually, you would expect it to happen a little bit faster with the composition that they're running when they're running a rush composition where you would expect them to simply get the kills and then move on. The fights are lasting a little bit longer because they don't decide to invest ultimates. They know they can win just with their neutral. That's why they're always just keeping control of the situation, and that is very risky when you're Promise College because you are not winning fights with ultimates or without ultimates. So a lot of changes being made. I would actually like to see even besides seeing the Junkrat that actually they will be we will be seeing it just for the defense if they want to run the fire at some point as well. That could benefit them if they feel like they're comfortable with the hero.
There's production there trying to open up a mummified zombie or a mummy, a sarcophagus or something like that, trying to zoom in there or something. This is a little bit wonky. And I'm not just saying that because that rhymes with swampy. The Junkrat Roadhog? Not 100% sure.
Yeah, and this sort of things about this team is that they don't really run what's meta, they run what they're comfortable in and when what they think they can win this. So we'll definitely be seeing this. It's not ideal, but it could definitely work if they are comfortable with it. Oh.
I love this performance here by Zer. As soon as he sees the Winston comes out, he knows it's time to put that trap down. Doesn't actually find that one, but not gonna matter. He finds the ever-elusive Genji on that one. Even going this one. Parzival's fallen, Chad Massive, and Robbie down, so Providence College gonna be hard-pressed to hold this one without healers. Wait,
It's getting harder and harder for them to try to take control of it in the meantime.
You get me riled up.
Chad Massive switching on. No, Chad Massive was playing on the Lucio a minute ago, right? Wait, no, nope, I'm incorrect. Sorry, yeah, he's got 40% on that one. Excuse me. So this is going to be an offense pushing this one closest to the no, that'll just be mech back. Closest to the Primal Rage.
Yeah, they are just holding control in the meantime, and yeah, the perimeter will be coming through. Ideally, if just things go wrong, but they do have the potential to snowball here. They just have to play it a little bit slow right at the beginning to push forward. They definitely have everything to do, and then I'm curious to see how the blade's going to turn out for this Genji.
Yeah, Robbie almost to the Mercy ultimate will mean you can get out of dodge quickly. Not 100% sure, like you said, a lot of Junkrats will be able to shut those down as well. Here comes the Coalescence, though, just as Daddy D rounds the point here. Well done. There's the whole hog coming out to try and clear point for time being, but last little bit of that Daddy D uses to deflect. Takes that one out. Lots of University of Colorado members falling. Robbie down, Chad Massive, the last support on this one. Ash ultimate out. Bob's trying to help. Big pin, though, just at the last second. Ruby super low, but 600 doesn't go so easily. Zer now with the tire taking out 2, and I think Providence College has stabilized. Yes, they have.
They take control of the situation, and they were struggling right at the beginning, but after that, they managed to take control of it, and they're just looking so good. But in the meantime, we do have like Genji that will be having the blade coming through. We also just have the sound barrier, so that should be more than enough. But oh no, Swampy just gets that kill.
Parzival, that's the second time in a row now that Swampy did it to him, and pretty much in the same exact place, Dryad.
You definitely have to predict this for next time, because if this keeps happening, it's just going to delay more of your team. And sure, you have 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, so that should be good for them. But you just want to clear the fight, want to have as much time as possible, and just go to another round.
You saw the Doofus that gave him a nice hearty hello, Swampy did, as if to say, come on, we got it. Little Neo pull on that one. Big ultimates, yielding a lot of kills on this one. Yeah, so that's University of Colorado making a statement here after losing, or after Swampy was kind of making a point against their Doomfist, I gotta say. At least first point has been taken. They got a little bit of stall out there, 70, 80% now, 90, and does get stalled at 95. The sound barrier dropping a nasty shatter to Tori, not one to go so quickly into this night, but now what 5 players on 1 or so, the Tracers there may not live very quickly, and yes, Funkmaster just waits, steadies his hand, cool hand Luke gets a shot out, last one on 2, Zernies, Mr. Sparta fall as well, and this is just a little bit of stall action. This is probably University of Colorado that's going to take this at about 310, that's my guess.
They should be able to take this soon. They just have to get rid of that wrecking ball that's been so destructive over and over again. But they still more kills coming through for them. And they should be having at least like a minute if they get the kills. There you go. So 3 minutes in, 4 seconds remaining for them. Dude, they're looking so good. And that was just because they were able to get that first point so quickly. Even when they were in a number advantage, they were able to come through. So this is going to be really, really important now for the attack, because that was going to be Providence College. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it. Like we were talking about, I would like to see Farah if they feel comfortable with it. Here, we actually saw before from this team. And this is a big opportunity for them if they want to be in the air, they want to play the pharmacy. A lot of damage that will push the defenders a little bit back and play a little bit slower, especially because we haven't seen that many hit scans being played for the 2 teams. So this is a huge opportunity. Maybe it just seems like for the DPS lineup, none of them really feel very comfortable. We did see the Ash, but didn't get as much value.
Yeah, not a whole lot of value on the Ash. A lot of that is having the Bob to contest points. The Soldier 76 and the McCree are there, but Temple of the Noob is 0.1. is very, very infamous for having a lot of different vertical positions behind which a Pharah can hide and get her Mercy off to. But as it is, looks like we have gotten our wish. Mr. Sparta showing the Pharah can change, and Robbie showing the Mercy.
So they will be in the air, but now this will actually be a little bit more challenging than they expect because for the defense, we do have a Torun and also a Soldier, so that should be more than enough to take them down. Still possibly for them to get more value out of it before and just try to not get taken down so quickly, but it's not going to be easy. This her position is not just as easy to defend, and you're also going to have Baptiste that's going to put damage into you.
Yeah, exactly. Like throw a little damage boost from Bird Boys' Mercy. And that's going to make for a rough time for Mr. Sparta. Now, if he can hit a concussive blast with 2 of these players, like say the Soldier 76, maybe the Torb, that'd be a different story though. Now coming in here, Swampy got a lot done for his squad last time. The Tori falling in the middle of this one. Big hook there. Repositioned the Funkmaster Reinhardt for a minute, but not sure if that's going to be enough. Robbie just getting all the damage that he does not want. A pull and a miss because that was the 5th shot from Swampy. And I do believe University of Colorado is taking a quick first team fight.
They cleaned it up like we expected them to do. Now it seems like Sparkman's still going to be on that fire. Still wants to give it another shot. But just playing the fire and also playing this Genji puts him in a very risky position. You don't have a hit scan that has a one-shot potential. And if you are just dashing as Genji into the backline, you're going to get killed by all the stun.
Oh my, that's 4/6, 2/3 of the Providence College squad that fell to a well-placed Funk Master flex, we could call it, a Funk Master shatter on that one. And again, this is the side of the University of Colorado, the Buffaloes, who have taken all the advantage in the world on a single ultimate.
We're in a position now where I would like to see for Providence College swapping the ZPS lineup that doesn't seem to be working for them. They do have the Blaze, so they want to give it another shot, see if they can get some value out of it. Definitely won't be easy. A lot of counters that will be coming through.
Here's Zer coming in. He's nano boosted as well. Gets absolutely melted out by Parsifal up top. The aimbot comes through again. Now Robbie should be thanking his lucky stars that aimbot did end about, what, a second beforehand that he came up there, because that would have been a different story. As it is, Providence College doing a great job. Now here comes the meteor strike down bottom. Big charge onto Dottore to get this shield out of dodge. Swinging away and more. Now there is the Swampy. Oh no, there's not. There is not a Swampy roll hog from the other side. Excuse me, I'm a...
Yeah, they just cleaned it up once again, and exactly what we're expecting. That Genji gets completely countered by absolutely everything. Now we're going to be seeing this player just going into a Soldier 76, a little bit more standard for the meta that we're seeing right now. The Spartan still yet has to get Barrage. We'll be getting it in just a few seconds. But just having so much delay, it's down to 1 minute 15 seconds and you haven't been able to build Barrage. That puts a lot of pressure into your team. You have to get value out of it.
Mr. Sparta's goal for right now, definitely that Torb turret up top. Doesn't get the last shot, but that's okay. Swampy's got their help now. That's what you have teammates for. Does have the barrage, and he's definitely looking for it. Shots over on both, but goes for healing first. Not saying that's a bad idea, but do have to take advantage of these opportunities when they come. But 3 members up top, and that's an opportunity all day long. Mr. Sparta can tell the future and can tell that FBI tugboat was wrong.
Good positioning also as well. And Owen's looking at the fire they didn't use on the Hagar. Now they finally take control of their point. They will be capturing it in just a few seconds. And they're looking so good. Yeah, we were talking about how long that our took, but it was definitely worth it for them. If not, they would only just have 30 seconds to try to use anything. So this just clears out the fight. Now they have another shot. They still have 3 minutes, 20 seconds. It'll definitely be less time than University of Colorado has. But this is a big opportunity for them, especially with the shatter coming up.
I gotta say, the unsung hero there is Zer, because, oh, excuse me, because with that mobile, Soldier 76 was able to come forward and push off anybody who may have come there if the stall was on the move. But as it is, Shatter on Lord for Dottore, but Dottore falls. A lot of blue players falling. Providence not willing to give this one up quite yet, and a Baptiste window yields not 1 but 2. Oh no! Oh no, okay, Robbie does fall there at the end. I thought that the Baptiste here, that's illicit, was going to be able to take down both of those supports. And as a Lucio main, I always want him to get away.
Once again, University of Colorado taking control, looking so good. But in that fight, many ultimates that were the Promise College was able to build, they really have that shadow that we mentioned before, but also the tactical advisor that it's so strong, just able to kill anyone that's on your side. That's going to be so important for them. Big opportunity, and they also have the sound barrier to use into the next.
Oh, there's a lot of ultimates all at the same time. Sigma is going to be the big one there, but really the sound barrier just negates a whole lot of damage that would come out there. Well placed to the side. Bird Boy has already got about a quarter back up to ultimate. Zer pulling out the aimbot on this one, getting a lot done with it. Now Providence College, after a wholesale win, up to about 50% right now, Dryad. We're looking at 80, and nobody's going to get there because there's nobody but Parsifal who's got the mobility. Shatter out, and what a one it was. Half, or maybe more of Providence out. That's Baby D now with this May freeze. The Blizzard coming out, getting exactly what it needs done. Comes the Meteor Strike, nothing really landing on that one, just chip damage on a lot of different players, freezes and more yield a lot of Providence College. W's here, so whole hog. Ruby trying to get on top of this one, getting bounced away. Nasty purple against Swamp that uses that time to heal and does actually get away. So what, the healing is not going to happen when you're purple, but the half damage coming into the Roadhog will, so that is how he stayed alive through that one. Impressive Providence College strats to still stay alive even after their Soldier 76 unfortunately sends a tri-rocket to the ground at his feet. Robbie falling as well, even Illicit, the Anna getting involved in this one. Oh my, nasty dive onto Chad Massive. The other Anna, he does not move right for, I guess, his left for another second to pick up the 75 heals. Might have to keep him alive for a little bit longer, who knows. Swampy is still here. He might as well have pitched a tent and set up a new address on point. Nile finally falls.
This is a really bad fight to be lost by Promise College because now you only have 30 seconds remaining to try to take the victory there. And it actually just always started because Virgo was able to get Chad when he gets this Anna. There's actually no main heals coming through, and this just doesn't enable the team as much. Now, this is a one less shot for them to take the win here.
So Sparta trying to find a little bit of chip damage against his counterpart. Illicit falling, Chad Massive done. There will be no Annas in this fight, ladies and gentlemen. Funkmaster trying to get inside of this one and pushing off base. Zer, nicely done. There were some, there were some mines in front of him that he did not even need to push him into, just like this. Baby D, the rest of University of Colorado all over this one. Running out of time is Providence College. 2-1 victory. Now for the side, University of Colorado.
They also win on this map, and as that was our prediction, that was exactly what we were expecting for them. They know exactly what to play, and it just shows over and over again. For Providence College, they had some really good moments, but they maintain the same composition when it doesn't seem to be working. And this is one of the biggest things that they have to definitely work on in future matches as well. They just have to figure out a way to try to get more value out of the compositions if they need to play meta or if they want to play to counter the other team. It just has to happen sooner. Just keeping the Genji throughout the match when it's not getting any value, it's just affecting your team.
Yeah, 1 out of 6 players just not getting call it like we see it, just not getting a whole lot of value. Got to be able to pick sooner, like Dryad here was saying. Counter, yeah, and again, counter picks or otherwise, it has to be done. What little Zer would kill the match there, play of the game, getting the triple with the Farah, just again to almost kind of prove me wrong twice. Love to see it. We got. After a 3-0 victory for the University of Colorado, I'll run through these scores again. 0-2 for University of Colorado on the first map, that's Nepal. Kings Row, where Providence College did come out and have a solid showing, but did lose 3-1. And then Temple of Anubis, 2-1 loss for the side of Providence. University of Colorado with the sweep. We got Wichita State and University of Delaware next, correct?
Yeah, we're going to be seeing the two teams facing each other, so that should be a really also interesting matchup. We're going to be having the same maps. They already know what to expect, how to play around it. And once again, I do really want to see that Soldier. We did see a few times where it didn't come up really on top. So I think just players have now the opportunity to abuse this hero because it's so good having the changes that were made yesterday. Just gives your team a big advantage that I want to see more.
Absolutely. See more. These two colleges definitely not out of it by any means, but maybe next week. As we move on to our next match, very short break coming in here before we get this next matchup again. That's Wichita State and University of Delaware set up. We will be back in just a little bit. I promise won't be that long of a wait. Hello and welcome back, Overwatch fans. We are here live with our next game on the docket. We got the University of Delaware over here on the blue and Wichita State coming through here on the red. I'm FBI Tugboat. Joined with me here is Dryad. Dryad, how we doing? Little break action, right?
Yeah, some great going on, but now we're ready for the action. We're going to be seeing the two teams facing each other. The performance for them should be a little bit higher. They had some really good moments, so I'm very excited to see what they have to bring today.
Yes, sir. Looking at last week, I'm actually not sure if either of these two. Yes, they did. So University of Delaware took down Providence 3-0. Wichita took down William & Mary 3-0. So both of these two teams 1-0, looking to not take their first L here today. Both teams are going to try and say 2-0. One of them's going to take a loss, though. I can guarantee you no ties in Overwatch. Or few ties in Overwatch, I should say.
But not many, and well,
Yes.
for this, I'm very, very excited to see actually that they're going to be on the right side for both sides. That should be interesting, especially when you have Flexifusion is going to be on the main. That gives you a big advantage to take control of the play.
Yeah, definitely going to help them. Flexifusion right there. Now a little Reaper flanked by Reaper action. That's Dynamite versus Nate so far, as this is Wichita that has successfully gotten all over the point. Hasn't opened up quite yet, but had been, they would have taken it so far. Zarya beams back and forth as now Delaware tries to rotate in, but Pod getting a little bit too ahead of the pack. Burnout down as well, and I do believe Delaware will not be able to bring this back 3-on-6.
Yeah, that's right. So they take control of the point, but they're not looking to bet in the meantime. That does have the coalescence to be used into the next fight, actually, for both teams. So that should be really interesting. This is really good engagement. But like what I was saying before, Flexification on the main and having that wall, it's really good to make the rotations necessary to take control of the point. So this is an ideal situation for them. In the meantime, one thing that we do have to recognize is that Blau was able to build like a routine surge so fast. In the meantime, Hotel only has 16.
Here comes the coalescence. Big shatter. That's only going to land on... No, that isn't going to land on one. That Moira got out of dodge when the getting was good. Blue, excuse me, is really supercharged here. 100 and more, and the support of his healers. Love to see it. Got a little bit low, but not going to matter. That is Delaware coming through here. A slapping. Dynamite not going to live long through that one.
And with similar action going on for these two teams, they are playing really, really well. Now we do see Delaware just taking control of the point for just a few seconds. They're going to be having that blossom coming through to their rotation, and making sure that you're close enough to get a few picks is going to be really easy for this fight.
That was, yeah, Kel actually getting called out there. The classic grab Death Blossom combination. Blue actually got a little bit low. Did fall to a headshot on that one after the freeze comes through, but Flex all but nope, does fall on that one. That big hitbox falling to the well-placed nade Reaper shots.
Yeah, in the meantime, just Nate looking so good on the Reaper, gets 4 kills at the end, and it just allows the team to win that fight very, very clearly. Now, the Coalescence will be ready once again for Ransel, so once again, another opportunity to try to make the engagement as fast as possible for the attackers. They really haven't yet what to do, how to engage, especially the main is the biggest opportunity.
Wichita rotating around here. Milk doing his due diligence, getting a lot of shots in there. Coalescence out. They have to break through this, and they have. Shatter out, but that's not going to land on anybody from the side of Blue. That was Fluffy but Deadly. We'll henceforth refer to him as Fluffy. Getting through there and assuming it'd be open. Not the case this time. Tire out as well, and that's not going to last through it. Is a kill on the Flexicutions, but I think that's going to be the only L that Wichita is going to stake. Only player going to fall on their side. Now Flip coming through. This is 52-53 up against 73.
I don't want to give out the point just yet to take control of it, and that was a really, really close fight, but at the end they do take the advantage. Now once again, such an important tool that is the Death Blossom will be ready for Dynamite against a big opportunity for them if they want to combo it against with the Blizzard unique Flexicution to build it fast.
Shattered down. That's going to land on one, but C does fall. Other one charged, and I do believe that's exactly what Delaware needs. Going to be rough for any team to hold on without the support of their supports, the healers from their healers. I'm not sure how I can get more typical with that. As this flip comes back on through, Delaware taking this over at 73-74 now against 86.
They should be able to get to the 86 as well into this time where everyone from the attackers is trying to regroup really fast as soon as they can for Cheetah. And very, very interesting. You do have the Blizzard as well to create space, so this is an ideal situation for this team.
Wall out. That was decently placed by Flex, followed up with the Blizzard. might take a large advantage from it. That's Flex forced to give that one up for the time being. Comes down, drops down, gets out of dodge, gets out of the way of damage, and takes down Pod. Now, more freezes attempted. Targets have been hit the tanks on the other side for Flexecution as the die comes out. Nate has no support on that one. The sound barrier, not sound blossom, that'd be cool. The sound barrier landing way too late on that one. Tire out again, just waiting for that Zarya bubbles to fall. Looks for the main tank, does fall it. Fluffy but deadly deleted out of this one for the time being, and this is still Delaware fighting. Ooh, healer jumping right in. I've been that Lucio before, so it sucks. Jumping literally right in front of a shattered, like literally right there, but this doesn't get much closer. 99 to 99 as Wichita takes game number 1.
Which does a really, really good job at the end. Once again, these two teams seem really close. And talking about the matches that we saw from them last week, both of them took the victory. So this is exactly what we're expecting from them. A lot of aggression coming through, a lot of different picks that allow them to create more damage to the enemy team. That's why it seems so close. It did 1 to 99 for both sides until we saw Wichita just taking the advantage right at the end. And one of the biggest keys for that was Nate using that Blossom when there was no one else on point. Like you mentioned, there were no supports, no one else who could help him out. And also the shield was in his face. Absolutely no value that he could get out of this ability. Now, you just need to make sure that for this, you had to for your team. I wanted to wait a little bit longer to use it because they did have the opportunity to try to make that comeback. But now they do have the opportunity to do so. Actually seeing this Ashe coming for this side of Wichita is really, really good on this map.
I think that Wichita didn't feel like they got enough damage capability from their healing core, so now Seed will 100% be able to help with that damage or to add an additional, 30% or so. You know, it is 30%, not or so. It's exactly what it is. On any damage slated out at that point. Now, point opening up here, side of Wichita State, that's red. Not really opting to move on to it quite yet. Not a bad idea either because they know a lot of damage will come over from Delaware across that gap. Now Milk trying to get in here. There's a hack, but only gonna come onto DPS. Tries it. Wow, actually, so gets the teleport out and invis to, and instantly they don't pay attention. They don't keep it up. They turn away and he gets away. So Blue taking this one 5-6% now. Delaware might get this taken away from them. Healer's getting super low. That's Pod actually falling. Hack coming out onto the Ashe again. But still, doing a great job of staying alive is Blue. That's the Coalescence out now by Rancer, trying to keep it up. Well, Burnout gets through there as well. Burnout super low, very close to that sound barrier, but not sure if he'll be able to make it. Now it does have it. Here comes the Autobot. There's the sound barrier, but oh no! Burnout gets taken out by the aimbot before it does land. Hate to see it.
And you still see that Wrecking Ball just trying to hold it point for a little bit longer, but it just seems like it won't be just enough. This is not looking too bad in the meantime for Wichita. You do have only 36% if you're Delaware that you were able to get, and if you don't get to up to 60%, then it doesn't really mean much of an advantage. You do have that EMP though, so that is definitely something they can capitalize on using early on, and if they want to combo it like we were talking about on the card match, they want to combo it with the Death Blossom. That would be completely deadly for the enemy team just winning the fight.
Here it comes. There's a Sigma ultimate. Leaves them up. There they come back down as Nate does fall. A lot of blue players down. Delaware fighting this one. Or excuse me, a lot of red players down. That's Wichita fighting this one about half. But now Respawn's come through. Flip comes through and Delaware taking this one. 3 ultimates on board. Will be soon to that Coalescence. Ooh, Kellic not able to get out of dodge on that one. Hits the corner. Doesn't find himself able to turn it. And yeah, Blue going up 49% against 32.
Just a huge EMP that was able to win that fight. Then now they're looking at 55% on the teammate. The Primo Bridge will be ready to be used in just 2 seconds.
Ooh, the trans now. Great job there from Seed, aiding this push as they come in. 2 deleted, main tank, main support. So Burnout's gonna be the only one healing with helping heals here. Nate getting it done by himself. The speed boosted Reaper takes out a lot there. It's not an easy task to take down your classic Ham and your ball players.
And that is a really, really good comeback that we actually see from Delaware when you lose ball that wasn't even able to use up Primo Rage early on. But the team just comes back. Nate always putting so much damage through and allowing the team to capitalize out of it to always keep the damage coming. That EMP will be ready as well for them in the next fight.
Blue trying to cover a little bit of space here. Primal Rage out. Ryan's his target. Smart Ryan just hanging up in the corner there, not going to let himself get booped out so easily. Now Pod rotating around Blue, coming to the end of that ultimate. Sound barrier is there. Burnout's not going to miss this one. Here's a huge EMP. Everybody but Flexecution, but Flexecution does have the Death Blossom. Not going to happen, even though we're in overtime. Not too far away there, and there it comes out of Shadow Step, but doesn't get on top. Pod super low. He's getting heals for every single shot of this, now focusing on the main healer, and Rancer actually using that alternate fire and a melee to put Flexecution down where he stands. Well done, 100-32, tied up now 1-1.
They take control of the point and indeed so well. Now we actually see the comeback and how even these two teams are. And it was just a huge impede that allowed that last fight to happen, getting 5 of the enemy team. It just completely disables any ability that they want to use for a few seconds, and that's just more than enough for the team to clean up. We saw Nate just trying to play a little bit more aggressive, and usually see the Reaper trying to do this, but it's just such a risky situation in certain cases. Now we're going to be seeing how these compositions are going to be working out for them, because we've seen some difference on the tank line, and I believe this is the biggest thing that these two teams have to figure out now, what tank they're going to be working out for them. Do you want to play that Reinhardt that doesn't give you as much mobility, or the Winston that allows you to jump to the backside?
Yeah, definitely more of a brawly and divey composition for the side of Delaware. It's going down on points so far, though. Rancer already up to about 35, but C is the more I want to talk about. 53, 55 now, meaning everything going here. Nasty hack on out to Fluffy, but well-placed D.Va positioning on this one. That's Kella keeping his fellow tank player alive. Focusing the attention to the outside here. I do believe Wichita has done what they need to take this one out. A Seed Coalescence already on board. My oh my.
And just like that, they take control of the point. Coalescence will be ready for the next fight, and they just couldn't look better. Well, Seed has that Coalescence in the meantime. Rampant only has 60% of it, so big difference into that. This is a huge engagement tool for them to use into the next fight. And both EMPs that are trying to build that, just depends who builds it first.
The Hammond Mines out first, Pod falling after he got them placed. 25-26 for Wichita. Blue forced to back up again. And I think with a single pick, they have just kind of given that aggressive stance. It's gonna be forcing Delaware to regroup for the time being, maybe 10 seconds.
Really fast fight that we see right at the end. Also, they're just waiting it out because they know that they have to regroup for this control point, like they were mentioning. EMP will be ready though and used for both teams. But let's see who uses it first and if the counter can come through.
Yeah, so Fox might seem like he was memeing a little bit back there, but he wants to stay back because he knows this EMP is online. Wants to stay back, come forward once the EMP drops and get his sound barrier going. Dynamite on the side, trying to position for his own Death Blossom as the other comes on the other side of the field. Nate falling, doesn't take a single one after getting all that and a bag of chips eaten. Perfect positioning for that, booped away. Doing a great job is this Lucio, but Burnout is super low. Now there's the hack that we were waiting for. Milk falling immediately after pulling this one. FoxyCon has his work cut out for him as if he has Orion after him, and not gonna happen. 3 kills now for Delaware over in that kill feed, and I do believe they've got done what they needed to.
They're definitely just going to be cleaning up here, but now there's a huge difference here, and it's a Milk did use EMP while Flexecution did not use it, so the EMP will be coming up, and with almost 90% for them, it should be enough for them to take the point. A good EMP as well as that Shatter would be just more than enough for them to counter here. In the meantime, the only opportunity that they have for the defense to try to keep it is a Graviton Surge, but it doesn't seem to get as much value in this meta.
Was Shatter right in the middle of Flexecution. He was trying to get out from the Moira. Difference of a quarter second would leave this main healer still alive. Not gonna happen. So wait, that wasn't a Moira. Who was that? That was a Reaper. Oh, excuse me. Actually, yeah. So Dynamite coming out of that one. I guess they're both kind of Shadow Steppy, right?
Right, but I mean, the longer that this fight is going to keep going, and the longer that these recruits are not getting those kills right away, the worse it's going to be for the attackers, which is in case we're going to be seeing Wichita trying to make that comeback now, and it has to happen before Milk gets yet another EMP. This is the best opportunity for them to win here.
Execution, finding the positioning. Hacks on a lot, about half of the team. Yes, that's Delaware. That's Pod, who did fall before the sound barrier landed. Burnout was not caught in the EMP, but didn't get the sound barrier off in time. Coalescence out now from the side of Seed, but Dan very quickly, Nate takes advantage of that one to take down 4 with the assistance of Blue. About as good as a Reaper Death Blossom as you can get.
4 kills for Nate, now make it 5. Just looking so good on this hero. Nate does it over and over again. Once they used that EMP, they were capitalizing out of its lovely witch that was looking good and like they were going to take control, but Nate didn't want to give it up just yet. Now, he's going to try to build another Death Blossom because he definitely still has time, 20% that needs to be left before getting to that 100. But Milk, once again with that EMP, this should be in a really, really good position for the team.
Now taking the lead at 90 is Delaware against 89 for the side of Wichita. Fluffy, the main tank, falling first. Not looking good for Wichita as the shatter lands again. Pod getting that one out. And I do believe there's just a little bit cleanup action here on the point. Delaware will win first point. That's Nepal 2-2-1 on the scoreline.
Or just after that map that they lost, they knew exactly what to do, and it just seems like Nate on the Reaper is such a key factor for this team. Over and over again, it just makes that the fights are not going underside. Definitely just go underside, and this is really, really important. One of the things that surprised me that we didn't see that much was that we didn't see the sound barrier coming through after EMP for any of the teams as much as I would like to, and I feel like this is such an essential tool. You're playing Lucy to try to allow your team to stay alive during that EMP that's so strong. And when we saw at the end that the Lucio for which that gets hacked, there's absolutely nothing he can do during that EMP. They just simply wait for it to die because they don't have the speed, they don't have any abilities to try to run away. So it just puts him in a really, really bad spot.
Yeah, a fantastic point, Dryad. University of Delaware, I believe that was Burnout over here on the left. There's just simple. I mean, again, Lucio main. I know this, even the little bit of Overwatch that I played. Right, when there's a Sombra, the game plan is just a wholesale switch away from trying to play with team as opposed to literally just keeping as many many teammates, as you can within that nice little 15-meter radius. Now, again, I believe that was Burnout that we saw playing, or no, it might have been FoxyCon. Not 100% sure. It doesn't matter. My point is, we saw them playing back, like literally outside of point completely, even when they'd had a couple teammates lower on health because it doesn't matter. They have a Moira. He knows that main healer can get the heals out, and on multiple players, he did not want to get hacked. He did not want to get EMP'd. Wanted to be able to follow up his team against the EMP with a sound barrier.
Yeah, and that puts a lot of pressure into Lucio, but there are other opportunities to try to stay alive with the EMP. We can always see that counter EMP that at some point both of the Sombras did have this ability to use, and we actually only saw it from one side, the other one got taken out immediately. And this is a big opportunity. If you see the enemy team uses EMP and you're not hacked, you just have that opportunity. But there's a lot of things that you can do to try to stay alive. Lucio and Sombra being very, very important tools in this meta, and I want to see them being highlighted more.
They really do offer just completely individual things, right? The hack in and of itself, not necessarily a stun needed if all you make him is just walking targets that can't speed boost, shield, heal, do damage without their main weapons and everything else. So, yeah, a huge tool on that one. Kings Row, the crowd favorite. Next, after Delaware took round number 1, 2-1 on the control on Nepal. This is Delaware on defense.
Yeah, and it should be really, really interesting to have Moira on one side for the attackers and not having the Moira on the defenders. This gives you that coalescence advantage that you want to use.
Lexicon almost gets punished for his aggression, did get punished for his aggression, so Milk there, Pod falling for the other side, so a big source of damage, and a main tank falling for either side. Burnout, Pod, Burnout falling that on the side of Delaware. Defense not doing a great job so far. Yeah, so this is what, 30 seconds into this game, and Wichita just absolutely run away on first point.
In this meta specifically, I do want to talk about it because it seems like teams don't really have the understanding of how their rotation should be made right at the beginning. That's why we've seen so many teams lose the fight right away because we are running the rush composition, which means the enemy team and the attackers are just gonna walk into you and kill you. And if you don't hurry up, it means you don't hide just for a few seconds. They're going to be taking advantage. That's exactly what we saw, and this gives a huge advantage to them.
Kelv with a single bubble utilized up to about 80%. That ticking down slowly, but not slow enough for the likes of Delaware. Excuse me, above Delaware. Execution sitting back behind this one now. Fire strikes and more. Nate not able to get out of the way of danger on this one. Shatter has it. Fluffy's looking for it. There you go, and that's going to be landing on multiple players. His charge target not even there. Had already been eliminated and dusted from the face of his existence.
Just like that, they clean up the fight and they keep moving the payload. Now they want to push forward. They don't want the recontest to happen, even though you know it definitely will. But Delaware doesn't really have a clear idea of what to do now. No ult available because the EMP that will be ready. But if you can't really back it up, it's going to be really hard to get value out of it.
Milk is trying to position around here. It's just hard to get through this bottleneck. There's the hack, there's the dragons, and Dynamite actually lands even though he's hacked. He realizes he doesn't even need it. 4 players falling without the assistance of a single ultimate, well, excuse me, of an ultimate outside of the, wait, hang on, that was 3 of them? Did I miss this? Execution tossed out his. I guess Kelly tossed on the other one. My bad.
Yeah, and then also just Reinhardt at the end trying to use that shatter doesn't, like we mentioned before, it doesn't really get as much value as you would want to. It just makes things so much harder for this team. They're just rolling 5 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. It just seems unstoppable for them.
It really, really does. Defense has their work cut out for him. This might be a solid beginning, though. Milk out. Milk taking out Zarya almost by themselves, but Nate got a solid amount of damage on there. There's Burnout with a nice little boop onto Dynamite, I believe. Yeah, and the only one following is Nate for the side of Delaware. Defense wins this one. So just like that, yeah, I mean, you had a very good point. This is Wichita State that was unstoppable, but Milk comes out with the EMP, finally finds it and switches.
Yeah, Delaware finally takes control of the situation, and that's going to allow the team to do better. But now, surprisingly, Nate is going to be swapping into Tracer, and Milk is going to be on Reaper, so a lot of changes there.
That's the flower you don't want right there. Sound Barrier does fall this time in time. Burnout keeping the squad alive with a well-placed and well-timed. Shatters out. A lot of blue on the ground on this one. But even through the thick of things, Kel and Dynamite both falling. Not going to matter too much. Swinging away is Fluffy, proving that deadly part of his name. But now forced to come all the way back. Zarya, healed by a Lucio, is not super strong, but looks like Fluffy has not won but both of his supports on the back. Shield does not land through it. And without that support, offense going to have to pull back.
4 minutes still, so they're not looking too bad. They just need to figure out what ultimate abilities they're going to be using. I would like to see actually the Gravity Surge along with the Dragons from Hanzo being used again. I believe it gives it some sort of advantage and nothing to counter.
Comes a Coalescence. Both Reinhardt's down. No main tanks on this one. No shields either outside of your protected barriers for Zarya's. Toxicon trying to move this around here. This is Wichita getting aggressive, but Flex again. So this kind of seems like this is a Wichita State that can win a lot of these, but it seems like every single team fight there's somebody who dies unnecessarily.
Yeah,
right?
Some of them are definitely overextending, and this could be the end of them, but they have so much time that it doesn't seem to be affecting them too much now.
Yeah, it seems like it's coming so earlier before a team fight that player is able to get back or something. I'm not sure. Here's the grab. There's the Dragons. They just want to give a little kiss and say good hello. That's Pod falling Milk down. Nate deleted from this one. Shatter onto the solo because it doesn't matter. Wichita knows they only have about 15 meters to go here. Grab at the end. Pod switching now onto the Hammond. Will be able to get out there. Nate getting super low and Nate getting dusted as soon as he does step out onto point. Pod even not even living through this one, even with the shield capabilities and the 600 health.
Exactly 3 minutes remaining as well, and one of the biggest highlights I saw for Wichita was definitely having that hand that was performing so well, always getting those high no blows and allowing the team to play a little bit better. I'm very curious to see why Delaware went from having Nate on the Reaper to having Tracer. Tracer can be really strong and it allows to melt the tanks from the enemy team a little bit faster, but sometimes it doesn't really seem to get value, and this was definitely one of the situations where you are risking that you might not get the pulse on one of the supports because they are so fast, and we were mentioning they actually had the Moira running as well as Lucio, which are already not easy to get. And it's very interesting. Nate, I believe, is one of the highlights of this team. You definitely have to put him on whatever hero he feels more comfortable in, and it just seemed to be a Reaper before. Having this Tracer at the beginning just didn't seem to be benefiting them too much. And Milk didn't have particularly bad performance, but when you let the attackers just walk over and over again to first point, second point, and the third point where it was the only time where they were struggling, it like seems harder to hold. Once again, they have 3 minutes, so I do want to see the attackers now trying to make it a little bit faster than that.
Yeah, I'm not against the Milk Sombra whatsoever. It just, it kind of seems like other movements would have been a little bit better. Like, again, the Nate Reaper, yeah, it just when the supports are so mobile, it's going to be really hard for a Tracer to get something done. Like you said, no point in expanding on that one. Foxicon over here on the side trying to get the damage out where he can. Nate with the Widowmaker off top, so frequently, you know, the earlier pick for the Widowmaker on King's Row given the high positioning, but looks like Nate's going to stay there. Fluffy getting that shield out. Exactly what he needs to right now. He's got a bubble on him for the time being, so it does get a little bit of aggression afforded to him his way. Now 73 down on that shield. Gonna have to come out of that for a little while, but Dynamite eats a nasty one, as does C. Gonna have to ask him how those taste, as Nate getting some nice Lucio shots. Now that does my heart good, Dryad.
Just definitely a player that you need to watch out for if you are the enemy team. He just does so well. Now he's performing amazingly on this Widowmaker. He seems unstoppable, but no one is trying to counter him, and it's so hard to get at him that just because of that, it seems like they're taking the point.
Foxy doing what he can, but a lot of attention on him. Only going to be able to stall this one out for a little while. Yet a fantastic point. Nate got all the value in the world. I think it's 4 picks. Going. That was a nice job by Dynamite, contesting for the time being, letting the rest of Wichita to get up on top of this one. All the attention onto this Reinhardt pod, trying to come back a little bit now, but Coalescence is out. Dynamite opting to move forward, but realize it doesn't need to. 85% for Delaware is not a bad percentage by any means. They have plenty of time. Will get rewarded for a minute and a half once they take this. You have to help me out there. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually refreshing that they didn't get it right away, but now they have anything, they do have that infra side and more than enough opportunity to win here.
A lot of ultimates, a lot going down here. Nate's Widow, yeah. So the sights, Corb ultimate. I think there's a grav on in there. Everything tossed on this one. Do believe it's going to be Blue that wins this one out. Yeah, so what was that? That was Dynamite on the Reaper, who used the Shadow Step from the corner, just come on, touch point for a second, used the last half second of Shadow Step to get back with the rest of his team. Very impressive. That entire feat bought them, a minute off of Delaware's time?
Yeah, and also just having this double sniper composition run by Delaware is just allowing them to do so good. Nate being the starting player that we just keep looking at, but Milk also getting the final blows is not looking bad at all.
Oh, there's the grab. Soundbayer lands. Not sure if that's going to be able to keep these guys alive. Yes, the difference between the grab and the Dragons just not coming close enough together there. We're not able to get damage on after players were released from the hold of the Gravitron Surge. Nice headshot. Flexecution shuts down his counterpart Sniper, but this is Wichita with a lot of glowing ultimates up.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot to go on here if they want to initiate the fight with the Coalescence. It's a big opportunity for them to try to take control of this point, because it's very risky if you're not holding the corner. You're actually holding way closer than that. And you need to be able to just play a little bit more aggressive here to win. So the Coalescence sounds like a perfect option for them.
Ooh, Rancer falling to another well-placed Flexecution headshot. I was going to say that, yeah, this is Wichita has already won. Wow. That's another big difference here, right, Dryad? It kind of seems like Delaware needs at least an ultimate or two, or at least mostly, like on average, to take a team fight. Wichita is completely comfortable coming through here and just decimating without a single one, or just using one and finding all the value from it.
Yeah, and because of that, we actually see Nate going once again into the Reaper. This is the only player that we can actually get value out of the ultimate ability, just and nothing else. So I do want to see this coming up again, but the Gravitron Surge will be right in just a few seconds.
Coalescence out first, like you said, a great way to start it. Nice call as well, the grab out. There's the Dragons. Like clockwork, Dryad, I like it a lot.
You just know exactly how this fights are going to happen, and they just clean it up so fast. I really like how aggressive they're holding this point. Like we mentioned, you ideally want to hold the point a little bit before that in the corner where you actually see the supporters going, but they are confident enough that they know they can win the fight. Now, they did use a few abilities there, but that was more rooting for Dynamite just a few seconds, so this is a big opportunity to keep control of the point. The villain will be moving here, but the recontest should happen soon.
Dynamite trying to get a little sneaky position on this. Foxicon was, Foxicon was pushing people up. Burnout is the one that was looking over there, so I don't think that they know that Dynamite's there. Shatter out actually goes out after Burnout first. No need for an ultimate again. Look at this, just absolute mental awareness for the side of red. That's Wichita. Come through here. Yes, the Shatter's out, but he realizes he does not need to use his own. Now Fluffy is the only one far away from their ultimate. Kale is like halfway. We'll give it to him. But again, all the value in the world from one single ultimate.
And you can tell Dynamite wanted actually to use the Death Blossom there, but then he realized that it wasn't even needed. He was doing way too good, and now they call isn't to engage exactly what we wanted, more than enough to push him back.
Dragons, grabs, more.
Ooh.
Dynamite out, that's 3. Foxicon did drop their own sound barrier, but Burnout, once again, just gotta call it like we see it, Dryad. Burnout dying with sound barrier.
And it just both of those birds don't get any value or not able to use the ultimate. But at least this is huge for them because there's so many damage coming through for the enemy that you had to make some changes there. The Coalescence for answer will be ready to push them back a little bit, but that doesn't seem to be just enough for the teammate. Once again, on the Tracer, so not as much damage as you would like to. I believe he does have a really good performance on Reaper, but his team is not allowing it to happen right now.
Oh, Milk getting hyper aggressive. That's how you clean up with a Zarya. That's how you play Zarya up against a Mei. No personal bubble needed on the end there. Shatter out, Pod finding a lot of damage. Oh, just doing what they can. Again, that's how you play Zarya. Very well done there. Very well done.
You just
Still
have to
pushing on
clean
along
it up as soon as he can.
They're pushing on along here. This time, yeah, I might have stopped that one a little bit early. We're at 7 seconds now. A lot of damage players on point. Nobody at full health on this one as Burnout takes not 1 but 2. Hey, healers like these who need DPS. Now overtime, Delaware is up against their last shot.
The recontest will be coming through, it seems like, but it's not going to be easy. They just want to stop it as soon as they can.
Dynamite with well placed that one on that, but now he gets the ire and the attention. He's able to get the small one, not going to matter. Nate on top of that one, helped by the speed boosted Lucio. Foxicon coming all the way back. He wants to get what he can out from teammates, and Fluffy falling at what? He was at probably a single digit health as was, had the shield up and was doing well, but the Moira damage orb comes and takes another tank while they're hiding.
Yeah, the Moira also just helping out a little bit with the damage. So now they have to play aggressively. They don't have much time left. 1 minute remaining for the attackers to try to get to this 3rd point, and then it's not going to be easy. You have the photon from Nate, which is a huge opportunity for them. The Shatter is not going to be easy to get value out of. So once again, that Coalescence to engage and be ideal for them here.
There's the posturing done now. Shatter out after the Dragons and the grab, and then the Dragons. That's Pod falling, charging through the end of Dragons. Not 100% sure what that one was about. Milk done as well. 30 seconds. What is left at the 90 that our Delaware squad purchased after taking this 2nd point? This was now 1 fight territory, Dryad.
Only 20 seconds remaining now. Things get so much harder for Milk. That Blizzard will be ready. So this is a big opportunity to create a little bit more space to try to touch the payload. But it's not going to be easy and nothing else will be ready. And you want to make sure that if you're Burnout, you're not dying with that ultimate ability. Because if that happens, things are going to be hard. And you're not going to be able to protect your team.
Last ditch sound barrier here came out right before the grab, so that was pretty well placed, but Kello just getting it done here. There's a Blizzard freezing everybody out. Milk with some solid shots on that one. Delaware not dead quite yet. Big boop on a Kello as well, and that's all but the Wichita Flexecution player killed in the team kill. Now about 7 meters away. Foxicon is here, will be out. Nobody gets there in time.
Aww.
Wow, yeah, so the Lucio boop gets there. Dynamite was shadow stepped, but not there in time. So overtime take the side of Delaware. Wichita took it with 3 minutes, though.
It seemed like someone was able to touch, but unfortunately for the defenders, no one was able to get there just in time. But still, if you are on the red team, you don't feel too bad. You have 3 minutes now, which has a lot of opportunities, especially taking into account that when they decided to attack first, they look so good. Now, this is going to be more of a challenge for Delaware to turn all the defense more like we were talking about. Those rotations right at the beginning are going to be really, really important because only with 3 minutes, you have a lot of fights that can happen and it can go any way. So ideally, if you're able to hold the point before the payload starts moving, this could allow the team to try to take the victory here. But then again, there's also the opportunity to see a tie happening.
That is very, very true. Neither of these two teams do take that first point. Don't get an additional point on there, and we'll go. We do play 5 maps on here, so after the Ilios last, if they get there, and this is a tie, I should say, then that'll be decided that way.
Yeah, but it seems like in the meantime, Wichita look really, really good on this map. So I believe they should come up on top. They should be able to at least try to capture this payload, start moving it a little bit more. And that's when it all depends on the ultimate abilities that the team has. Ideally, you do want to make sure that your ultimate economy is as good as you can to try to take the point here.
The switch on Burnout from the Lucio on over to second main tank. That's the Baptiste here. Nate just being the thorn in the side, and oh my god, that was fast.
I'm not sure they really realized what was going on there. Because now we do see them
Oh,
doing
man.
the rotations, but okay, well, that's not how the rotation goes. It doesn't seem like they realized that it was only 1 point that they had to get, and it just puts things into perspective. It just makes things harder for the team. Now they do take the advantage. They were looking so good, so they definitely deserve win there.
Yeah, so Wichita State taking this one now 4-2-3, tying the series up. Delaware took the first one 2-1, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just making sure. Yeah, so basically purchasing ourselves a best of 3 after this tie up in round 1 and 2. Basically a best of 3 action here for Anubis, Route 66, and then Ilios to round this one out. Wichita, yeah, so we were on board with the Tracer there at the end too, right, for Delaware? Maybe just got a little bit of tunnel vision, trying to attack out this this Hanzo, make sure that those longer range shots cannot be landed, and didn't get onto point. You know, that first third can go quickly.
And I believe that's more a matter not so much into the tracer, but into the tanks that should be trying to hold space to control the space, and they give it away, and it just happens so fast that they're not able to really react on not trying to go away. So that just makes things hard. As a tracer, you are supposed to kind of run into one side, another side, try to get a few damage down, even if you don't get the final blows. That should be good enough for your team. But yeah, I believe that was more of a matter of the tanks not being where they should be to try to hold it. Even when that situation happens, I would even say go out with reset and see what happens because it's so much easier to try to hold the point there. And in the meantime, well, if we are going to the next map, we're going to Temple of Anubis. So the different positions that we can see happening here, and probably seeing this tanks that have performed so well, but for the defense, we might be seeing actually a Sigma and a Wrecking Ball.
Signal Wrecking Ball. We saw what? Wrecking Ball, and then the Wrecking Ball and Winston earlier in game number 1. That was Nepal, but hey, that seems like a lifetime ago now. Tied all the way up. Temple of Anubis will decide who takes advantage in this one. I guess there is a chance for a tie, but it is unlikely.
It's going to be hard, but this team is exactly what we expected them, for them to just look as close as they are. They definitely have a better understanding of the meta, and they know they're playing at a high level. And Nate, they just touch a thing to the team that if he's not performing well, it just puts things so much harder for them.
And with it, rotations here to the right. Wichita trying to get up on top of panel. They do not know that Nate is behind them. Right on that corner. That was really good positioning for him. He's got a lot of damage. Almost pays with his life on this one, though. The hat coming out to Milk. Burnout falling in the Mercy on point over here. As Milk just getting these shots out left and right. Nicely done. Flexecution turns his back, and Milk would teach him not to do that one.
And just so much damage coming from Dynamite now. He is going to be the star player. Just the Reaper just simply melting everyone. They're going to be taking control of the point so fast. 3 minutes remaining, they're going to get a little bit more once they capture it, and they do have the snowball potential. Not many ultimates actually, but if Dynamite is able to build it at Blossom, this would be a huge opportunity for them. It does also depends on Flexecution trying to get that EMP as soon as they can, and this would put them in a big advantage knowing that there's no Sombra for the other team.
Rotations around to the right. We saw Wichita State, or excuse me, the left. Wichita State did the same exact thing on point 1, found a lot of value from it. Trying to recreate that performance will be the name of the game. Now Sigma out. A lot of shots coming down. Turns attention towards the Zarya for the time being, but just everything is going through this doorway right now. This Reinhardt, that's fluffy but deadly positioning on the right side, as you should. So the left side of Ryan's shield will cover that one. Sound Barrier out. Dynamite come charging into this one. This is the opportunity. Here's a Death Blossom. EMP comboed, and I think Wichita State might have put a bow on the top of this one even this early, Dryad. Full team kill.
they clean it up. Now we're going to be seeing a few of the defenders trying to come, trying to touch the point, but you know, they can't even touch. 5 minutes remaining for Wichita. Division is doing so good. It seems like the first map was just simply a warm-up map. Now they're doing insane, amazing performance from them. They're just rolling over and over again. And for University of Delaware, they are really struggling on the defense.
Initiating match.
I just tried to elbow through my desk on accident. I am in much pain. Wichita State, that was, like you just said, that was very impressed and a very fast roll, especially on to point number 2. I think the burnout Mercy falling on point while the rest of Delaware is a little bit spread apart wasn't ideal. I think that was Foxicon on the Sombra that took that out, but that really was the beginning little puff of snow that turned into the huge snowball that was the Wichita State team just rolling into that second point and very, very quickly taking it. Now, they did posture up on that left side for a little bit, but that is what you needed to do, and then they took their opportunity on it, right, once the sound barrier came out, or what became possible.
Yeah, and this is one of the challenges that you have in this sort of maps, where it just makes things harder. That when you get the first point so fast, you have this snowball potential, and it took a little bit longer than we expected. But then when you have 5 minutes, it's just absolutely amazing on this map. You simply just went through them, and it's a composition different that it seems like it's happening for them, because Nate actually does have a big opportunity to get a few picks, but everyone else seems to work more as a team. So the one individual player that is able to be highlighted on this is Widowmaker. Now I'm interested to see the performance. Everyone else is going to move in a little bit slower, maybe try to go left while this Widowmaker trying to get
nice!
There you go.
What a heady. What a heady. Is going to eat up the Mercy res on this one. Nate is down to 1, but gets away. Love to see it. That'll be the first one we noticed on here. We'll try and call him out as often as we can. 1 health point does not come out very frequently. Absolutely chased down and beaten D.Va here. Sent to Baby D.Va form and very quickly afterwards taken out and sent back to spawn. Yeah, okay, so Nate just completely opened up this point for them. Right? I mean, Ash was killed not once but twice. And there was no real pressure put onto him. A lot of these shots were the longer range Lucio shots.
Nate is such a big help for the team, is the one that's cleaning up everything. And even when the rest comes through for the Astra at the beginning, you know that the rest won't be available, but it just allows people to have a little bit more adjustment to the enemy. Exactly what we saw happen. Now 5 minutes, 55 seconds remaining for the team. You depend on Nate to do this again, and that's a lot of pressure into his player, but he's absolutely amazing. That Coalition as well coming through is going to look him out.
Ooh, so Nate gets a little help from his friends. Yes, sir, that is Milk on the Reaper showing up to save the day. An invested D.Va is a bad business option here for the side of Wichita. Just like that, the rest of Delaware cleaning this up. They are literally on board to get this faster than 5 minutes in a second, Triad.
They're going to be clearing this up really, really fast, and Nate's only doing a few picks at the end, so just looking so good. But the Wrecking Ball just making the life of them impossible.
Ooh! Threading the very, very end of the needle there on that as the charge came in. Shattered down, but that's going to be forecasted all day long from your part, Brian Hart. And now with that, Delaware has actually taken more time than Wichita at 5 minutes and 6 seconds as it is. Both teams going to get 3 minutes taken away from them. Nobody needs 5 minutes pushing onto this one. And now Delaware on top. Because they have more time, they will be starting on the offense. Wait, right?
Yeah, and this just means that these two teams are really, really good at attacking, but when it comes to defense, they are struggling a lot. This is a big challenge that a lot of teams have, and just having this happen again. They both have so much time remaining. 2 minutes, and those 6 seconds don't really signify much. It's just at the beginning how fast you want to go depending on the composition that you're running. But it's going to be dependent on what the DPS is able to do right at the beginning. Like we saw Nate getting that headshot at the beginning. Dynamite, if he just has to go on the Widowmaker again, would be a big opportunity. But in this duel, it really depends on more Nate on having good positioning and try to get those picks. And this is where we can see Wichita coming down when there is no one who can counter the Widowmaker. There's no one who can dive on her. There's no one who can really put any damage on her if you're not winning duel as a DPS.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I think what I'm hearing is the one-on-ones for DPS is just really being a defining factor. You have to take these out when you're forced in those situations. Not that you want to be in those situations, but when you are forced to them.
Yep.
Right? Okay, got it. 1 minute 52. I was wrong. Delaware has more time in there on the defense. It's not sure how I missed that one. All good, all good. Nade up top, throw a little damage boost on top. There's gonna be a bad man coming through to shoot shots down on top of your Wichita State. Lucio his first target. The second is the other healer, the much slower Moira. Seed falling on that, and they're not gonna have a mercy on their side. Burnout's the only one, but oh my goodness, the Zarya from down bottom. That's Kellett getting a very solid shot up top, and I gotta say, Dryad, it seems like the offenses have just been really winning out over defenses no matter which team is on which.
Yeah, definitely. Those are all the things that we were mentioning before, and it's just how strong teams are on the attacking. They know exactly what to do, who they have to dive into, who they have to rush into, but when it comes to the defending, the positioning is just not ideal for any of them, and that's what's causing the attackers to win now. 1 minute and 30 remaining for the attackers to try to get to this point, and they do have a few ultimate abilities coming up. That EMP would be ideal to try to build first, but that Shatter could be more than enough for them to win here.
Yeah, the positioning though, Fluffy and Pod have been going back and forth on these shatters, but now no Pod means a huge shatter. Fluffy but deadly coming through here, making several different Wichita State players one with the essence. We got Wichita State all over this one. 1 minute left, half time, or half position, excuse me. 70 seconds or so. Charge comes in, gets hacked out on the way, and Pod does not live for a second longer. Burnout does a classic Lucio ride up top to try and stall this out, but as there is no attention down bottom, that's not going to last too long. Meanwhile, the other Lucio, Foxicon, won't say the better Lucio, but the other Lucio, Foxicon dropping the sound barrier on that one, keeping the dream alive, keeping Wichita taking this one with 42 seconds, which I gotta say is not that bad, Dryad.
Yeah, and they're looking really good, especially because they won the fight right away. Usually, the biggest risk that could happen in that situation is that you lose a second point, and then you have a lot of time to respawn and to try to come back. That just wastes a lot, and would have probably gone to overtime, but because of how fast they were right there, it just allows them to still have time left in case this goes to another round. The biggest challenge, once again, that these two teams have is the defense position. They really need to figure out exactly how they want to hold it. The positioning doesn't seem ideal. The rotations are not really there. You know that you want to hold in the little high ground that you have right at the beginning, but after that, once the attackers start contesting the high ground, you want to move a little back. You want to go back to point if it's necessary, and whatever it's needed. And I actually do like seeing that they are making the changes to try to make this possible by having a diva that will allow you to get the high ground really quickly and to use the IP point if it's necessary.
Yep, I'm with it. As far as vertical positioning, we saw Pharaohs earlier, right? Even on this map with the what was that? What team was that? That was Providence and University of Colorado.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard, and if I remember right, it was done on offense, and it was for the most part kind of foisted away. But a huge part of that was the fact that they had the Baptiste Soldier 76 and I don't remember the other one. They had a Mercy there to damage boost it as well, and that was what led to that demise. Rotations left. Nate looking back up top. Looks like Wichita's learned their lesson, on that one. Rotations on to point now, about halfway up. Delaware's taking a huge break at this one so far. Did get paused there for a second, but now they are rolling again. 3 on point. It's second very, very quickly. 66.4 is not 66.6, so they have not gotten the second one, as now defending side decides to just come out, and it is time to take their stand. Still not gotten it quite yet, but the last little bit of cleanup is all that stands between Delaware and this first point.
They capture the point again. Defense doesn't work. What is the perspective from these teams? A little bit of stagger, but now they got it now. 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining for them to get to the second point. This is going to be essential. They need to win this fight to have enough time left to really have a big chance into the next fight. So, trying to get a few shots would be ideal here.
Big shatter. Once again, this is Wichita taking all the effect in the world from a single ultimate. In a lot of ways, I really do think that you could call Fluffy, outside of maybe Dynamite, you could call Fluffy the MVP of this Wichita squad here tonight specifically. Not sure how they play all the time, of course, but these shatters have kept them in the game in every way, shape, and form.
And this is a huge opportunity actually for Wichita to remain in, just maintain the control. This is definitely going to be one last fight, one last full fight for the team. So the colors is being used early on. They definitely need to win here.
Let's get the hack on the Moira. No Coalescence for him quite yet. Won't yield too much seed. A different story though. Coalescence out decently early, forcing this one across the bridge. And I'm not 100% sure if this is necessary at the time, because they would have liked to held on to that being the only ultimate outside of the self-destruct that they do have left. Now, Foxconn has that sound barrier, but keeping him alive will be a different story. A lot of shots from Dynamite up there in the front. There's the grab, there's the Death Blossom, there's the sound barrier, but there's the self-destruct. That is going to be the deciding factor. Wichita State slapping around members of Delaware, and this is just, and again, janitor time. That's cleanup, Dryad.
Yeah, they're just going to be playing up here, and it just finally we can see Wichita taking control. One of these teams coming up on top when it comes to defense. They didn't have the best defense throughout, but now they are looking so good to do so. And now Wichita on a big advantage here. You definitely want to win this map, especially when you're going into what comes to be Route 66. So a lot of pressure into them. And I believe one of the biggest highlights that we can mention is how the DPS it's so important to try to get a few picks at the beginning. It doesn't matter if you're a Reaper. It doesn't matter if you're a Widowmaker. You are supposed to allow your teams to engage. When you're playing this rush competition that we saw from both teams, it's just so important over and over again to make sure that you're in a number advantage. If you don't have it, then it just makes things harder for you. This is why we see Wichita coming up on top. But overall, it's just so close for them.
I hear you. I hear you. This really was a hard-fought game with the tying up in round 1 and 2. We purchased ourselves some more Overwatch here for game 4, but Delaware comes back after this second 4-3 loss. Very close. Delaware comes back and takes map number 4. We will be getting ourselves a map number 5 in an Overwatch game that has gone the distance. Now, unfortunately, I do have to go ahead and get on out of here. So we're going to go to a very short break and get Pulsable on in here. I wouldn't have anybody but the best replacing me in Dryad. I very much enjoyed this. We have loads more EGFC and loads more weeks to come. But this is it for me right now for today. I'm sure I'll cast with you again, okay?
Yep.
Gotcha. Shout out to Colton as well, producing away. We're going to go to a very short break. Be back with you guys to the different play-by-play caster.
Welcome back, everybody, to EGF Overwatch, and today we are already deep into a series between Wichita State University and the University of Delaware. I'm Pulsable, subbing in for Tugboat, who unfortunately had to bounce, but thankfully we have The Rock here, the color caster of Dryad, to keep us well informed on how this series has been going.
Yeah, and we are currently on a match point that we're seeing from the two teams, and it's Wichita who has come up on top so far, so they're looking really good. Now it seems like even when they're doing a little bit better, there's a lot of opportunity for Delaware to try to make that comeback. It just all depends on the composition, and I think having this map now, Route 66, is a good opportunity for them and to see what they can do. It seems like for the defense, we're going to be seeing that Mercy and that Zenyatta being played out, and I absolutely love this composition for the support. I think it's so important to you. Of course, you're not going to be having as much heals as you would like to, but when teams run this means you definitely have a good Zenyatta, so I really want to see Ransel coming up on top.
Zenyatta is such a good tool to burst through those tanks. Reinhardt gonna have to play so much more careful. Same with D.Va when Rancer throws those Discord orbs on. Right now, though, it's a pretty passive state here for our defending team. They're not playing too far up.
And their playing is really, really slow, especially when you have those supports like we were mentioning before. You depend on keeping them alive, that your Zenyatta's not taken down and you don't have to use that res very early on. So definitely a lot of action that is going to be happening on this corner now, trying to contest this high ground.
Yeah, Pod taking a good bit of damage, takes a breather though, and gets on out of that. But Delaware, they have to cede a lot of space, and meanwhile, the cart has just been rolling on through. Fluffy but Deadly doing a good job of keeping the entirety of Delaware at bay. I mean, Wichita, they're getting so much space for free. Finally, it costs them a member of their team. They're going to lose their Mercy, but trade it on out. So still looking just fine for this fight, and with a good block onto Pod's second hook, they can wrap this one up. And now the tanks are back on the objective. Now, Blue is holding it down, and this last little bit has been pretty expensive for Wichita, but they are slowly muscling this through. Should get this one wrapped up nice and quick. Earth Shatter's at the ready, but you should probably hold on to that one, and yeah, he will.
Yeah, definitely, and that shatter that we mentioned on this composition, there's a lot of risk in knowing if you can get value out of this ability. So ideally, you just want to have something else you can at least combo it with and have more opportunity for it to have any significance into the team fight. In the meantime, just Delaware still has a big opportunity, but no, you get headshot by Dynamite.
Yeah, such an early resurrection forced out there. Dynamite actually hit with the dynamite, ironically enough, is going to be forced off of that tight angle. But now the Infrasight comes on out, and you got to be so careful where you are peeking your head out. Blue, with the experimental barrier, is going to have to keep his head on a swivel. Watch where that Widowmaker is to protect those squishies, like you say. But actually, we could see Nate up in the room. Chucks Bob in to keep Dynamite at bay. The rest of Wichita not having a very good time either, as the whole hog comes on out, but D.Va goes into the back and actually finds those 2 kills up on top of the gas station, and that is a beautiful opening, blown wide open by Wichita. Flexecution maybe gets a little too big for his britches there with that flank, but the payload moves all the same.
Wichita is warm up, ready to take some damage as well. You do have an Nana coming through for the D.Va, just also trying to keep this player alive, but in the meantime, we see that Delaware hasn't given up just yet. Huge advantage that Wichita has, so that Shatter will use that Valkyrie as well to initiate fight with a huge advantage for them.
Nate desperately trying to stabilize for his team, but Flexecution shuts that down nice and quick. Dynamite in such a powerful position here, and avoiding that hook from Pod means that there's not really much of anything to contest. Gravitic Flux gonna whiff. Actually, I think it was stunned there. Blue not able to even complete that ultimate ability. Delaware slowly losing players and life to boot. Blue will take himself out. Pod not long for this world. The whole hog will keep him alive for a bit and do a good job of zoning Wichita State, but there's only so much one Roadhog can do.
The Hog doesn't really get as much value as you would want to because you use it so late into the fight that, you know, it's only a matter of time before the enemy team takes you down. So a lot of pressure into them. The ultimate economy is just not looking good. They just use 4 ultimate abilities. The Transcendence will be ready, but what can combo it with? Just a lot of pressure. You can use it to try to keep your team alive, but it doesn't seem to be as effective as you would want to here on Delaware's side. The Gravity Search at least was used so that opportunity to use the dragons as well as not possible, and especially Dynamite just taking that burnout. A lot of time that would be wasted there.
The snipers from Wichita State are just applying so much pressure right now. Dynamite and Flexecution are nasty. There goes a Dragon Strike. Forces the Transcendence. And with the ante going on to blue, you still got to be careful where you peek your head. Oh, the platform rotating barely saves the life of the Zarya there from Dynamite, who was at the ready. Can't say the same for Nate, though. There goes the Tracer already down. No contest available for Dynamite as he just rips to shreds the defenders of Delaware.
Dynamite is just unstoppable right now. No one can take this double sniper composition down. Nate tries to get to Ashley Flex Farm, but it's not going to be enough. It seems like the payload keeps moving 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. This is a lot of pressure for defenders.
It's rezzed and everything, so still a full fighting force for this attacking team of Wichita State. Now they're just brawling on the objective. They know in an elongated fight, they're going to win this one out. They have the player advantage. The ultimate whiffs goes straight into the bubble. Only oh, that's an interesting name. Kalekgil is hit by that one, and it doesn't even matter. Grab comes out later. This is just cleanup for Wichita State as they comfortably cruise the payload all the way through Route 66.
They look so dominant from beginning to end. They knew exactly what to do. Yeah, they were struggling a little bit right at the beginning, but after that, they knew exactly how to take control of their ultimate economy like we talked about. And having Dynamite in your team just seems to be more than enough to just help you out. We're actually, seems like we're having some problems with connections for one of the players from Delaware, but then while we fix that, we definitely... It's something that I want to talk about, that double sniper composition. We've seen a few teams play it, but you need to make sure that they are able to keep this composition, that you're actually getting those final blows. And that's exactly what Dynamite and Flexecution are doing. Absolutely amazing job. The first map that we saw from this team, they weren't looking too good, but now they're warm up. They're ready to win here.
I mean, yeah, and to be fair, if Wichita State, like playing this double sniper, there are pretty few control maps that really actually work for a solid double sniper setup. Whereas, we move on to Escort, we move on to Assault, Hybrid, what have you for the other game types. There are a lot more places where double sniper can be effective, and Dynamite and Flexecution, they have been nothing short of effective, at least starting here on Route 66. A 2-minute, 55-second time bank. Going to be pretty hard to beat for Delaware.
And to be fair, I do want to see Nate coming back on the Widowmaker. I think this is a really, really strong pick. He was doing so good in other maps when we saw him in Temple of Anubis. He was getting picks over and over again. He was taking down Dynamite, but now we saw him on the Tracer, and he was the one who was getting taken down. So if he has the opportunity to make that duel happen and have him have a little bit more of an advantage for his team, this would be ideal. But it just seems like Milk is not really having that performance that Flexecution is having on the Hanzo. So that's why I could see some hesitation into trying to swap into this composition. But in the meantime, everyone else has been doing a really good job on the composition. Besides just having the double sniper that you pretty much depend on having the tanks always perform, have a lot of damage coming through. It's something that Wichita is doing so good that it's fluffy but deadly on that Reinhardt was always getting those final blows, especially at the end when we saw him put the hammer, just taking everyone down, just helping the team so much and making the job of the sniper so much easier.
Well, it seems like Delaware are at least taking a part of your advice to heart here, Dryad. Nate is going over to that Widowmaker to contest Dynamite. Now, it is single sniper versus double sniper, right? So Nate is going to have to watch every single angle as Flexecution can also give him a pretty hard time. At least he'll know where Dynamite's playing from. A shield's going to keep Dynamite more than safe for these early trades. Can't say the same for Nate. Flexecution. That's the problem with one sniper versus two snipers. Two snipers, turns out you got twice the long-range shots. That's how math works, folks. And if you're not able to get up onto the Wichita State, this Reaper, this Brawl comp coming out from the rest of Delaware just isn't that effective.
Yeah, and this is going to be an interesting attack coming from them. If you have those snipers that have the high ground advantage, they're going to be benefiting from them so much. And once again, taking that burnout right away.
What a nasty Hanzo, man. Flexecution has just been filthy with it thus far. Rancid going down 2. This is not nearly as easy of a push for Delaware as it was for Wichita State when they started on their attack. Nate will at least fire first. Gets the first drop of blood, but it's just a drop, folks. That res comes right on through, heals that up, gets a nice Scooby-Doo Band-Aid on that wound. So Nate's gonna have to find yet another pick. The D.Va has overextended. Kellikill a little bit too far forward, but Dynamite is the one who finds the next opening frag there. Easily done. Now the Coalescence online too. Wichita, whenever they feel like they need to go contest the point, they will have all the tools necessary to do so.
Yeah, and in the meantime, the payload move a little bit more. So now this is where the high ground is going to be contested again, especially with the Coalescence to engage and push everyone back.
Yeah, no, Coalescence already used there. Coalescence answered too from Burnout. Flexecution just looking for picks on the back. Has eyes set on the mercy of Rancer, but flicks him over to Nate. Takes that Widow down. Has a Dragon Strike available, but doesn't even really need it. The Storm Arrow's more than enough right now to get some damage done. It's pretty hard to take out a Moira as a Hanzo, even at range, but when you got no shatter, makes it a little bit easier. Fluffy but deadly. Throws that one down. Gets caught in the grab, though. Good work, actually, from Blue there to punish a bit of over-aggression from Fluffy but deadly.
Yeah, and also the self-destruct that would come through actually doesn't get any picks, but Dynamite, it's just unstoppable over and over again. This devious lineup is absolutely insane. Nate has had some good times of life, but he just gets taken out immediately, and there's a lot of pressure to this player.
And who can even contest Dynamite here? As long as the tanks are stalling on the objective, you can bet he's going to be lining up some shots, whether it's bodies or heads. He's getting some work done. Death Blossom to try and clear out the tanks, but Dynamite shuts him down, keeps his tanks alive. Eventually, Nate will come back from spawn and blow him to smithereens. This has been tumultuous at best for Delaware, but they are inching the payload towards the end of point A. It's taken them so long to do so, Dryad.
Yeah, so much action going on, especially when you're trying to attack, and you get taken out immediately by the snipers if you're one of the supports. And then you just have to come back, try to do anything that you can to stay alive, and it's really, really hard, especially in those corners right now. Into the second point, you do have a better positioning, and Nate, seemed like he had an advantage for 1 second, but Flexecution doesn't want to let him do anything.
Bro, how do you hit 2 mid-air shots like that? And then, who is this man? Execution? Bro, no flex needed, just the execute part of his name is all we're seeing right now. One hero is good enough to put all of Delaware in the ground.
It's just absolutely amazing performance from this Hanzo, and this is why you want to play Hanzo instead of maybe an Ashe. You just have such a big advantage. It just imports also Foxconn to be stuck on the Mercy edge, just pocketing you all the time. She's able to have a little bit more mobility, just allowing you to get cap damage done. Nate's still committed to Widowmaker, which is really good, but he hasn't got a match value, so this is a risky situation. How do you want to approach this Anchors?
Yeah, and even though you're playing a very brawl-heavy composition as the University of Delaware right now, there's no Lucio, right? So they can't really dictate when they want to take these fights. And, Dragon Strike going forward, going to make it even harder for them to do so. Pod gets split. Coalescence going to try and keep him alive, and the Earth Shatter is blocked from Fluffy but deadly. So now Wichita on the back foot. Earth Shatter countered. Grab thrown in too. Maybe a bit of an overinvestment from the University of Delaware, but the result is still the same. They'll get this fight under their belt.
And it's not the first time that we see them using pretty much every ultimate ability. Dynamite hasn't gone up just yet, but now he gets taken out by Milk. And yeah, like you mentioned, 5 ultimate abilities used by Delaware. They're definitely committed to win that fight, and they're able to do so, but their recent tests will be coming through. They don't want to give up the payload just yet. Wichita coming back in. Self-destruct used to re-mech here. Collect will have to be a little bit careful. We'll be able to get back into that mech. And not chunked out by the Reaper either. Ooh, dives right into the Reaper, though. Dives into the entire enemy team. Not the ideal position for a D.Va. I mean, Defense Matrix is a good ability, but it doesn't protect you from a Reinhardt hammer. So once that D.Va's gone, Defense Mitigation goes with her, and so will point B. I'm not the biggest fan of the recontest that we saw actually from Wichita, because you just enable Delaware to build all of the ultimate abilities that they lost into the last fight. So this is now going to be looking a little bit better for them. They did use that Valkyrie if you're Wichita, so not ideal to try to engage. You don't also have the Coalescence, so a lot of pressure into them, and it's just a duel of the snipers trying to see who gets taken out first here.
Execution with the Dragon Strike at the ready. No Transcendence this time around as we're on point C for Delaware. They don't have anything to protect them. There goes that Dragon Strike, and Earth Shatter, though, from Pod actually lays down most of Wichita. Good aggression, well-timed, and an excellent push keeps Delaware on point C.
Yeah, and they just keep moving. That Colossus for burnout will be ready in the meantime. We see that he doesn't really have it, so this would be a really good opportunity to engage, especially into the last fight territory that they have. They're doing so good. They're ready to contest it again.
Caught in the graviton from Blue. A Coalescence makes that easy. Cleanup. Yeah, the Reds comes on to seed. Both healers are alive, but both are just as easily dispatched. Delaware, they're not done quite yet. They'll send us into extra innings, which has basically been the story of this series at this point.
Yeah, and it's just because when these two teams came into this match, they had a win on their bag. They were confident, and you can see the level was pretty even between the two. For Temple of Anubis, they were struggling a lot on the defense, and right now both of them were looking a little bit better, but still a lot of things to fix into the compositions. Dynamite, keeping Dynamite into Widowmaker seems like an ideal situation for execution in the hands has been absolutely amazing. So for this team, it seems like they finally figure out what they wanted to play. For Delaware, I know that Nate is a really, really good player, but he has been struggling a lot. I believe playing the Widowmaker into this high ground that we're going to be seeing here could be a big opportunity for him to also just make that comeback, to also show that he's a really, really good Widowmaker, that he can get a few picks as well. But it's going to be risky. Milk also just make that comeback as well at the end when we saw this player just able to roll and get those final blows at the end. So a lot of pressure into the DPS lineup. This is exactly why and how you're playing this composition. You depend on your DPS to get a few picks, and it has happened really well for Wichita. But now we're going to the next round. A lot of pressure, not as much time as they would want to have.
Look at the compositional switch up here from Wichita State. They are holding fast and firm. They're going for the full brawl. An old GOAT style of hold where you don't let the payload go anywhere. Beautiful sleep on Flexecution, but Nate has already been dispatched. Flexecution, nice hack there on a pod. Easily removes that Reinhardt afterwards. Flexecution getting so much work done on the Sombra now. There's that flex coming into the Flexecution.
And this is really, really good because you want to be like EMP as soon as you can. And also, you have actually getting 2 kills, but they're just looking so good. They're holding this point really, really close just because of how confident they are in their composition.
And it makes it so difficult for Nate to get anything done, too, with everybody so close to the spawn room door. How is a Widowmaker ever gonna be able to set up a sleep into the back on the Flexecution? Once again, Burnout getting the better end of that Sombra, but still pretty difficult to remove Wichita State from the position they are currently in. The Boop, I don't believe, actually got Milk off the edge there. Pretty close, playing literally on the edge. Pun very much intended, and doesn't seem like it'll work out too well for him. We're down to 10 seconds, Dryad, and this payload's hardly moved.
Not really moving. It seems like it's actually going to be really, really hard for them to touch. This is going to be challenging. They keep getting taken down.
Yeah, Zarya will be able to touch, but the other tank pod stuck in the grav, and nobody's there to follow up on the grav from Blue. Only one eliminated, and once the hack comes down on the Blue, it's pretty easy to eliminate that Zarya. Sound barrier to keep Wichita State in this. EMP just to put a period on the end of the sentence. And this is going to be a nasty hold for Wichita State. Such a good adjustment from them. And it'd be a miracle if Delaware were able to get even another millimeter.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure still going on into point, but we see Wichita still getting those kills. It should be a matter of cleanup coming up. And now, Blast actually just get the start of it.
Nope.
Okay.
I got too excited, Dryad.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it was going to happen, and it all just happens because of how close they decided to hold this point. I thought they wanted to hold into the high ground and giving the snipers a little bit more opportunity to get those headshots, but because of how close they held and on the brawl and the rush composition that they decided to run, it just helps them out so much. And this just puts a lot of it puts Wichita into good positioning so far, but like but also a lot of pressure coming. Nate started with a Widowmaker, got taken down 3 times, then went into Sombra, didn't get any value, also got taken down. Then we saw him swap into the Tracer, but it was just way too late. Yeah. So it just seems like what this team needs a little bit more of decisiveness into what composition they want to play. If something doesn't work, make sure that it's a stable composition that you're able to counter the enemy team. And if you don't have this from the beginning and from how close the payload is, you're just not going to win.
And that's the real rough part about this now for Delaware, right? They're not given an option to play on top of big Earls. They're not given an option to give some space and take a fight where they want. They have to go up and do the exact same thing Wichita just did to them, but Wichita are prepped for it. They're coming out with Farah and Junkrat. That is some nasty, explosive close quarter damage.
And you know the damage is going to come through right away. If you're able to get a few picks at the beginning, that's all you need to win here. So let's see how Dynamite performs on the Junkrat, actually. It's something that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, it seems more like a fun pick than a practical one, but coming around the back. Actually, his own concussion mine displaces him from what would have been a nasty position. But not going to get much done there. Flexecution up in the sky, though. Not much to contest him outside of Soldier 76. And while Flexecution will be removed, it is only temporary as Foxicon goes for a bit of necromancy. Brings that Farah back into the fight slowly but surely. I mean, the defenders are getting whittled down. Delaware, they just don't have enough to stick their foot into the ground and dig their heels into the dirt. They're slowly giving ground here, Dryad.
And I actually like the positioning for Flexecution, making sure he's not getting picked out early on. Now he has to hide a little bit more because if the advisor is going to kill him right away, just has to wait a few seconds. They have a lot of time, so they have to wait patiently for them to have a big opportunity here, just breaking the shield.
Yeah, Delaware have restabilized now. It was a rough start for them, but they got enough to where they could actually breathe easy, if only momentarily. There's a nano onto a Pharaoh. That's so much damage, especially with a barrage. It only took a moment for that to get built up, and once it was, there's nothing stopping them. Wichita State grabbed the third map on the board and their second win here in the EGF Overwatch series.
Which that takes a victory here, and they do it so well. At the beginning, Delaware was taking the advantage on the control point, but like we always talk about, those control maps don't really signify much into how the match is going to go after. An absolutely amazing performance from this DPS lineup. Also, the supports trying to keep them alive all the time. The Mercy coming up with the rest, and it's just enabling the team so much for this success. I absolutely love seeing this. And Flexecution, definitely one of the plays that we have to highlight. An amazing performance from beginning to end. Even when we saw him far, he was playing very slow. Usually you want to play a little bit more aggressive because you have the damage to support it. But he knew that he was going to be taken down by the soldier. So he knows exactly how to play around it. And it just works amazingly for the team.
Yeah, I mean, Flexecution was just an absolute beast today. Anybody who's got a series going up against Wichita State, go from here on out, you better think of a way to shut down this Flex DPS, or else he's going to do as his name suggests and execute your entire lineup, execute your chances of winning the match too. I think that'll be it, though, for that match. We still got more Overwatch coming at you after a quick break, though, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to EGF Overwatch. We got one more series for you tonight, and it is sure to be a banger. It is the Rochester Institute of Technology versus St. John's University. Once again, I am Possible, joined by the lovely Dryad. We are hopping straight in to this match between two teams, Dryad, who both have a win under their belt.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing like we saw in the last match, and actually went into 4 maps. So I'm really excited to see what the two teams have to bring. Who's going to take the advantage when both of the teams win? It just shows that they're probably at the same level that we want to see. And going into the same map, it should give them enough time to prepare to know what the other team is going to be playing. And I'm just really, really excited, especially when we've seen so much of this rush composition that allows teams to play so aggressive. And the win of the first fight just depends on who was being more aggressive, who was able to build those ultimates first.
Oh, and already these two teams, they're coming ready to brawl. These are some rush comps if I've ever seen them. The May being the only difference here. So, Essel, I'm going to keep an eye out for how good these ice walls are placed. Already, RIT rotating to the point. They're not quite able to keep Choco Man alive, though. So, although they get that first control and they will get this wall down, they don't necessarily have the initial player advantage, but it's hardly going to matter. They take out the enemy main tank. Mr. Koala Man finding the wrong end of that ice wall there, and the pin. First cap goes to RIT.
One of my favorite things to see in this map as well is just having this May, having the wall and the opportunity to push everyone back. It's such an ideal position for the rotation. It allows them to take control of the point. Now they're looking really, really good into this defense, trying to build a few of their ultimates of their own. The coalescence will be ready in just a few seconds, so that is a really good engagement tool for this team. In the meantime, for the rotations, they don't have a May, so for them it's going to be a little bit more challenging to try to get as close as they want to get.
Gonna have to look for a pick on the periphery, possibly split RIT up if St. John's want to actually get the initial advantage. They're just waiting right now, buying their time, seeing if anyone will overstep and give them an easy in into this fight. Mr. Koala Man jumping down, doesn't get caught by the wall this time around. That's a big piece of utility gone for RIT, and as such, they need to throw out ult to make it work. Nasty Earth Shatter from Mr. Koala Man. He can't follow it up, though. He's frozen. The rest of his team will do the job. No worries there. A little dicey. But ultimately, St. John's clean it on up, get the better end of that Shatter duel. And they'll flip this over at about 60%.
And the Reaper just cleans everything up like you need, but 60% for RIT, so this is not a terrible situation for the control. I'm just very curious to see how their contest is going to go. They do have the Blizzard to create a lot of space into point. That May wall, and this is going to be important. This is going to show the level of synergy this team has, how close they're able to get. The wall is actually going to be used very early on. Their rotation will be coming through now.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem to stop SJU either. At least the grab comes on out. No Blizzard thrown up. Snow Globe not utilized, but apparently not even needed. The sound barrier is just going to propel RIT to victory. Isol's been hitting some nasty headshots with those icicle right clicks so far. Got to keep an eye on that, and got to keep an eye on RIT. They're looking to close this first round out.
75% for them, so they're just doing so good. But a few ultimates that will be coming for St. John's University. They're not giving up just yet. The coalescence to engage a Graviton Surge, that should be more than enough. If they want to use that Dead Blossom with a Graviton, that will just be ideal. But it's a matter of timing. When is this going to happen?
So much available for both teams. It is going to be a very busy fight on your screen already. So much thrown in. Oh my word. SJU, they dumped the entire platter on top of RIT, and it will get them off the point, but man, was that expensive.
He used everything that he had to try to control the point, and they used those 4 ultimate abilities. Now it's such a risky position for them to try to make that comeback and to hold the point all the way to 99. This could be a one-less fight territory, especially taking into account that Choco Man does have that Dead Blossom. So if he is put in a good position, he has all the potential to win.
Good rotation from SJU, or to RIT rather, to start this off. They completely negate any effectiveness the Deadeye would have had. Link got that Earth Shatter at the ready, does manage to hit one, and Death Blossom will clean up Bazaar. Now that player advantage firmly in control, and an Ice Wall is going to propel that even further for RIT. They've nearly gotten that flip over. Link does go down. Main tank pretty important on an isolated point like this. Essel nearly has the wall back, can isolate the Zarya and freeze them on up. A bubble's only going to keep you alive for so long, and the rest of SJU aren't able to stay on this point very long. RIT, hard fought, but they're going to get this first point of village.
They take control and they just know exactly how to play around it. This map really depends on the composition that teams decide to play, and I absolutely love seeing them making so much value out of the walls. There was only one occasion where we didn't see it really getting that tank, which is exactly what they were looking forward to do. But after that, they knew exactly what to do, how to use their ultimate abilities, and they maintained St. John's University. They were struggling a little bit more just because for one fight to take control of the point when they were at the 25%, they used 4 ultimate abilities, and the only thing that they had left was that sound barrier and those ultimates and those abilities from McCree that just didn't really get as much value as they would want to. But now they do have a different opportunity here. We're actually going to be seeing the Echo play along with the Mercy, so a lot of damage will be coming from the air as long as they don't get taken down by the DPS lineup.
What an interesting composition from St. John's right now. I'm going to be looking for some heavy picks off the back of the Echo and the Roadhog, but with it being the good old double shield coming out for RIT, they're just going to sit behind their shields, not let any picks go over, find a couple themselves, and waltz onto the objective.
Just like that, they take control of the point, but a lot of the players from St. John's University are forced to go back to play a little bit more passive and wait for everyone else to come back if they want to try to contest here. They're actually playing a reason, which is really interesting. The shield is not really getting as much value as you would want to.
Well, and it's single shield for St. John's versus that double shield composition, right? So in terms of just straight up dumping damage at each other's faces, you have to imagine RIT have the advantage there. So unless Mr. Koala Man can find a nasty flank, get around the edge here, it's hard to imagine that St. John's, they can just brute force into this, and no, they're going to get brute forced right out.
40% is going to be going for them, so they're pretty confident that actually they're going to be pushing forward. They know that they can win here, and with the ultimate economy that we can see from them, this is just really good for them. That flux will be coming through right at the beginning if they decide to engage with it. This is such a good engaging tool, like we mentioned before, and in the meantime for St. John's University, the best opportunity that they have is using that box right early on.
Already one down. The Gravitic Flux catches several, deals so much damage, and keeps everyone at bay. Mr. Koala Man's on this flank. That's what we were looking for, but doesn't quite get the pick necessary. Does pull back RIT, so it gives a little bit of space through the door for St. John's, but they're not able to get very far with it. They're still stuck in this first room. Essel goes down. A little bit of a damage advantage, but still those shields holding strong for Rochester right now. They are not struggling much at all. And yeah, while the Soldier 76, again, one person gets back to pull players to the objective, Rich actually gets away this time, which is good. Now he's got the Nano and the Tac Visor. This is the opening that you have to make work if you are SJU right now, and they will do exactly that. An ambitious Tac Visor coming back from Essel. He'll grab a couple with it, but I don't think there was ever much of a hope he was going to get the flip.
Using those ultimate abilities so late into the fight is so risky because it'll either work amazingly, you're going to be praised for it, or it's just definitely not going to work and you're going to be taken down immediately by the enemy team, which is usually how it goes. So this is exactly what we saw from them, but in the meantime, St. John's University does take control of the point, so this is really good for them. Now their weaknesses will be coming through a lot of damage for them.
Blue Jade just using that kinetic grasp to soak up all the supercharger damage. Now the sound barrier is out, walking on forward into the enemy team. Death Blossom, though, takes those shields down pretty easy, supported by that supercharger. That's just far too much damage for really anything to be able to deal with.
Really good way to clean that fight as well, with just having the soldier and using the abilities that he got, the changes that came through yesterday is one of the things that I wanted to see this team's played, exactly what Rich is doing and having such a good performance in. That Flux will be ready as well as this Dragon, so that's more than enough to create the space that they need to try to contest if you are alright.
Gravitic Flux actually going the other direction. Mr. Koala Man throwing that one out. Can't quite find the eliminations to go with it, though, so it's mostly just a stall tactic. And now Gravitic Flux And the Dragon Strike going on forward there. It's a lot of damage down. Attack Visor on the flank as well. RIT not afraid to dump so many ults back into this because it is ticking up here for St. John's. They need to make this work. And with a sleep going on to Rich, it is not difficult for that to happen. Somebody woke him up though. Rich coming back alive and maybe making this happen. It's 99% though for RIT. Somebody needs to get to the objective. Somebody needs to touch and keep this going for St. John's. And one by one, those players are being eliminated. Rich can't pump in enough damage from the side over here. He's not finding the picks he needs to. And now he's down to boot. That will be the round and the map going over to Rochester Institute of Technology.
And they do take the win here, but it was actually really, really close throughout the match. It just seems like they didn't have the full understanding. They were maybe playing a little bit more aggressive than they should have, or the defense. And that's why they were struggling for a few fights. But after St. John's University just got taken down by all the ultimate abilities that they use into one fight, it just seemed like RIT just knew exactly what to do, how to play around it, and just worked perfectly for them. So they will be taking the advantage. They will be taking this control map. But St. John's wasn't looking too bad, so I believe they do have a big shot of trying to make that comeback now.
For sure. And I mean, you know, just with our last series, we saw Control is not the be-all, end-all of Overwatch, right? You know, Control very commonly goes to the team that ends up losing the series because the nature of Control is so chaotic. But I do want to focus back on something we've talked about a couple times already, which is the ultimate economy and more so discipline, right? Because I think that's something where both these teams, on map 1 at least, showed a little bit of relaxed play style on. You know, we saw St. John's throw in tons of ults to win team fights and then not have much to come after. And we saw Rochester, you know, throwing ults at the end of team fights in those attempts for the crazy, insane clutches that end up just being a bad play here. So I want to keep an eye on how both these teams maybe adjust or don't adjust their ultimate usage as we move forward in this series.
Yeah, and that's so important in this composition because there are certain metas where you're able to play more of a sniper like we saw before, and you don't really depend on those ultimate abilities being comboed together. But for this specific situation, you need to make sure that you're using it at specific times. You're not using too many, but you're using enough to maintain control of the point, exactly what you want to do at the end of the day on these types of maps. And we didn't see that actually happening for them in certain occasions, like you mentioned. Sometimes they would use it late into the fight where it was definitely way too late, or sometimes they use just way too many. And I also believe one of the factors that we need to consider is the synergy that this team has. Sure. Sometimes when you don't have that communication going on, when you don't have a clear plan of how everything's going to go down, these things can happen. You maybe think that you have an advantage if you use an ultimate very late on, and it could happen. But it's just not hard if you don't have at least one of the supporters being with you or a shield to protect you, something that doesn't make it seem like you're just playing alone.
Yeah, no, synergy and teamwork. I mean, you know, it's a team game. Even in metas where it is orientated, I should say, and more so solo, Overwatch is always going to be a team game at its core. So we got to keep an eye on those little synergies, on how both these teams adjust as we head into our second map of Kings Row. Dryad, I feel like Kings Row, compositionally at least, can play out very similar to how we saw Nepal Village playing out in our first round of this series.
Yeah, and you get to play a lot of different compositions on this map. But
True.
ideally, you just want to play what's meta, what works best, and it just seems to be that Reinhardt that it's so important along with this Zarya. Just having that role style composition, it's allowing teams so much to play aggressive. And like we were mentioning before, it's just a matter of who decides to play more aggressive. And ideally, you would want to have a mirror match. You have a better understanding of these two teams. But for the DPS lineup, especially for the defense, seems like we're going to be starting with the Reaper and the Mei. So just trying to get a few picks, just trying to isolate a few of the players with this wall would be ideal for the defense here.
Well, and I do really love this Echo here on first point, specifically because there's nothing that Rochester right now have to actually deal with Rich as long as he keeps at range, right? And you can look for picks using that focusing beam. You can go around the shields of the defense. Your team has to be able to stay alive, has to disengage though, and it seems like that is a struggle at first for at least Flip It. He's going to go down, and the rest of St. John's going to just back up and wait for their full team.
And I do like that you mentioned the Echo. I think it's a very risky play sometimes, but if you can get value out of it right away, it might be just a worth it pick, one, especially with the duplicate that you can get so much value out of. And Rich actually does have it already, gets another pick as well, so just amazing performance from him.
Yeah, Essel overextending a little bit. Now the Coalescence has to be used by ZP Link to try and keep everyone alive. Rich coming down from the heavens, cleaning up on the actual main tanks. Earthshatter. Rich not going to really get much out of his own duplicated Earthshatter here. He's just going to go forward. Please just Earthshatter the first person you see. Okay, he's not going to see anyone. Comes around the corner, but doesn't quite have the time. Regardless, the damage is done, though, and it seems like St. John's are going to comfortably get this payload moving.
It was really, really close for them at least to get that shatter, but it just didn't quite happen. Now they're going to be pushing into this corner, but the defense doesn't want to give up just yet. Lynx actually does take down the Reinhardt, so a lot of an advantage. They want to get more space here.
You got to be a little bit careful, though. It was a great ante coming out from Liam Lizard. Liam Lizard? Yeah, okay, I read that right. From St. John's there that prevented some of that aggression. You're walking into so much here if you're St. John's, though. Graviton nearly at the ready as Blue Jay takes a quick nap, but Earthshatter, Blizzard, Sound Barrier all available. This is going to be pretty rough. Grav goes out initially, but the wall is there as well as a Sound Barrier to keep everyone on Rochester alive. Link going to be feeling supported by that Blizzard too. Can't quite hit that pin though, and now a lot has been used by Rochester and they have pretty much nothing to actually show for it. The ult's still available. Death Blossom out, Earthshatter at the ready for Mr. Koala Man, and I don't even think he's gonna need it, Dryad.
It doesn't seem like it will be used, at least for now. Now they're just gonna clean up the fight so they can move the payload a little bit more, but it's just so hard for them right now. Now they finally take control again. And Rich, like you mentioned on the Echo, an absolutely amazing performance so far. Duplicate will be ready into this next fight, but they are going to walk into a defense that has a Death Blossom, so a lot of rest there. The Coalescence as well if they want to engage with it. So that should be more than enough for the defenders. A lot of pressure into both sides, and Rich has to get some value out of the Duplicate.
Graviton Surge at the ready too. Rich just up in the air. There goes that grab nice and early. Death Blossom at the ready for Choco Man, but decides, you know what? I'll keep it for next fight. We're not going to do what was going on earlier. The overinvestment of ultimates is going to stop here and now.
And I do like he decides to save this Duplicate. Is going to help the team out a little bit more. The Graviton will be ready in just a few seconds if they want to use the Graviton now along with the Duplicate. And if we can have Rich turning into our Reinhardt, there will be so much damage coming through for the team that will definitely allow them to win the fight. But for now, they just need to push into this corner, which can be a lot of pressure.
Pressure exemplified here by St. John's as they're pushing on forward. There's that Duplicate actually onto the Mei. Gets nanoed and everything. Wants to get up to that Blizzard. Struggling to actually get the necessary damage, though. Is eventually going to be able to work up to that with the help of the Ice Block heal. And the Blizzard comes on down, stays after the Duplicate and everything. It locks up a few players, but there's no one to follow up on it, Dryad. The rest of St. John's are just being held at bay and can't get anything done.
Tough situation, and you see them just playing a little bit more aggressive, trying to make that comeback. Leagues in the meantime is able to get 2 at the end, so they are looking pretty good if you're on the defender's side. You also have some ults that you were able to build in the meantime, and you just feel really comfortable with 2 minutes remaining for the attackers to get some value. Now the ones that have the Blizzard will be so we will be seeing this coming through, creating more space into this corner where you want to take control.
Yet another Blizzard at the ready for Essel too. This is going to be such a tough fight, Dryad, for St. John's. You really need to get value out of this Earthshatter. If you're Mr. Koala Man, he's running out of shield to protect him. He's running out of friends too. Everybody else zoned away while he's just caught solo in the Blizzard there. Not enough of heat protection on that suit, it turns out. German engineering, not ready for the cold.
Yeah, and now they're just going to roll over them. Also, you have the wall to just clean everyone up. 1 minute, 15 seconds remaining. 40 tags to try to do something. RIT are definitely just struggling more than we saw them before. So now I'm just very curious to see how the attacker side is going to go for them. 4 ultimates available, almost 5 with the duplicate. So if they don't get value out of this now, it's just very, very hard to happen. About 1 or 2 more fights remaining.
Not much time remaining, that is to be sure. Dryad grab already invested by Flip It. Something needs to actually happen here. Death Blossom thrown in to secure the kills. It only gets actual though. And with the Coalescence supporting the rest of Rochester, they can use a grab of their own and clean up St. John's. Duplicate's not going to be enough for Rich. The Earth Shatter doesn't find anything from that duplicate Reinhardt. And slowly but surely, it is... we are losing hope here for any hope of a second cap.
20 seconds remaining, like you mentioned, doesn't seem like there are that many opportunities for them to try to touch here. So many ultimates that were actually used until the last fight, they were confident that they could win it, but now they don't have absolutely anything besides that nano that will be coming through for Anna. Probably going into the Reinhardt, but it's just going to be so hard with so many abilities that Blizzard's starting it off.
I mean, the Blizzard's already out. It's already frozen up. Mr. Koala Man, Nano desperately trying to keep him alive, but he's stunned in the shatter with the rest of his team. Nano, even with the damage reduction, ain't enough to keep that Reinhardt up, and it's just bizarre. Once his Wraith form has expired, he'll be going down too, and what a great start, a great defense here on King's Row, and a great win condition on this map to claim what would set Rochester onto match point.
It seems like they will be able to do it, and now the biggest challenge would be for St. John's University and how they want to hold this defense. Ideally, you want to have a full hold here so that the payload doesn't start moving, you start worrying about where it's going to stop. So if you can have a full hold here, it has to happen very early on, just trying to play a little bit more aggressive. Even when you are defending, you need to make sure that you're getting a few picks early on, whether that means having a few snipers, whether that means having that Mei and that seeing that wall again. There are so many opportunities for them to do this, but it's not going to be easy from them. They were struggling a lot. They had some signs of life, but the main concern that I have for them is once again the ultimate economy that over and over again just wasn't looking as good as we would wanted it to look. They had opportunities where they did have a shatter, they could get some value out of the gravity surge, but not only did they use so many at once, but RIT just knew exactly how to counter this ability, just making it so much harder. And when this is happening, I would definitely just advise to swapping to another composition, seeing how it works, whether you want to have a counter composition, whether you want to play something that puts a little bit more damage through and just challenges what the team has seen so far. This would be a great opportunity for them, but it's not going to be easy now.
It certainly isn't, but I couldn't agree more with you, Dryad. Point A is where you have to make your stand because so few times do we actually see a stronghold in that street section like we just saw from Rochester. This is a very cheeky teleport up on in and straight down on top of St. John's. Oh no, their full hold chances are falling apart in front of our eyes. Was that already? No, that was not an Earth Shatter. That was a separate stun, the counter stun coming from Essel and Mr. Koala Man, but Essel will walk away. Mr. Koala Man and the rest of St. John's not so lucky.
Just melting everyone with this Symmetra, just looking so good. They will take control of the point. And like we mentioned, very, very risky situation for the defenders. St. John's University can't really figure out what to do here. A few ultimates that will be coming up soon, but will it be soon enough that Coalescence, if you don't use it to engage, then it might be just way too late because you need to take space here and you already don't have it. So the payload will be moving to that corner.
Oh no. Are you gonna go for the turret bomb here, Choco Man? That is so cheeky. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, it's too far past actually the point where it would have been effective, but that means that RIT, they get through that choke point that so many teams love to hold on this second section. There goes the photon barrier on its way forward, giving an easy toggle to Rochester to just keep themselves alive. They barely take any damage. Sound barrier at the ready for Liam Lizard, but he can't throw it down before his team is already wiped off the map. This payload's hardly stopping Dryad. I don't even think there's another contest here.
Doesn't seem like anyone will be actually coming up in time. Maybe you have the Lucy, but he just got taken down to that. Just denies that opportunity. And exactly like
Damn.
what we were thinking in RIT just takes the win here.
Rochester Institute of Technology. Holy moly, what are they teaching y'all at that school? Because it seems like their brains are unbelievably large. Mr. Koala Man will get a consolation prize of the play of the game, but ultimately, Kings Row does go to RIT. It's a very nice Earth Shatter. I got to give it to Mr. Koala Man, but at the end of the day, I wasn't able to find too many more that looked like that one, and thus St. John's, they're now sitting in an 0-2 deficit, Dryad.
Yeah, and when you are in this match point, there are some changes that need to happen for St. John's University. A few changes that can mean maybe playing a little bit more aggressive or making a swap into the composition. I would like to see a mirror match between these two teams because, once again, they do have some signs of life, but they struggle so much. Kings Row, I thought, was a perfect opportunity for St. John's to play and try to make that comeback, but we actually didn't see it happening, unfortunately. So now coming into this next map, we're going to be going to Temple of Anubis. It just all depends on really having a good defense more than attacking. It seems like whether it's immediate or it takes a little bit longer, if you're able to hold a defense right away, this is going to help you out so much and feel more confident when you know that you're not going into a third round with a lot of time remaining. So I just really want to see that if we're going to be seeing a Farah coming through, that could be a big possibility for them if they want to play more aggressive. And if we are going to be seeing as well a few snipers coming through, I would like to see the Ashe and the Mercy. We know it's a perfect combo for now.
And we do have our two teams swapping sides. So St. John's, like you were pinning as a point to keep an eye on, Dryad. They will be starting on that defense, right? And I think for Temple of Anubis, especially in a meta that is so constantly shifting, right? We see so many different looks, so many different takes, especially that the new patches just dropped and some different heroes have been buffed and nerfed. I think there is room for SJU to come out and throw a curveball at RIT. We've seen them opting into the Rush versus Rush, but they go with the McCree instead of the May, and I just don't have the same kind of brawl potential. Do you think it would be a good idea for SJU to switch it up entirely and just get away from that style of composition?
I think that's a really, really good possibility for them, and it could definitely work out because if you are going to run a composition, like you're going to run a brawl, you're going to run dive, whatever you want to run, you have to run the full dive, the full brawl. You can run half and half because that's not going to work out. There's a reason why those certain heroes are the ones that are picked for that composition. So when you are making those changes into McCree, that's not really getting as much value, then you're going to be really affected. If you definitely want to run away from that rush composition that we've seen before, that's definitely a possibility, and you can definitely get a lot of value. Like we are seeing right now, there is a possibility to see some heroes that we haven't seen before, and it's just enabling the team for success. It doesn't matter if you're going to run a pharmacy that we haven't seen before. It doesn't matter if you want to run a Junkrat, whatever it is, but making sure that you're playing aggressive and you're not playing right into the hands of the enemy.
Well, it's definitely a different composition now, I'll tell you that much, Dryad. Torbjorn and Ashe both hitting the field on Temple of Anubis, or I guess hitting the desert, not so much a field here. Either way, a lot of spam damage coming on through the Roadhog Sigma. Rearing its head again, surprising as Roadhog has not been too great since its re-nerfs there, but Flippy going to be rocking that one. Mr. Koala Man has to be a little bit careful. Blue Jay will be the first one down, though. The good spam coming into this small choke from SJU to start us off. Nasty dynamite there from Rich. Going to keep RIT at bay long enough for that resurrection, but the tanks are taking a lot of pressure right now. Discord on Mr. Koala Man too, so he has to back off and give that high ground over to RIT. And now Choco Man has such a beautiful angle to play from. Amplification Matrix going to support him and the rest of RIT as they look to walk this one home.
I really like the rotation that they made there. They made sure they're not playing too fast, but they're getting just enough picks to now play a little bit more aggressive. They get those final blows at the end, and they take control of the opponents. They're looking really, really good right now. I absolutely love seeing this from them, especially knowing that they're going to walk into Estel, into a Blade, which will be a really, really powerful ability. We do have some counters that could happen, but it doesn't seem that possible if you're able to take down the Terrace turret right at the beginning. This could enable the team to have a solo potential on this map.
Good pick starting from Rich, though. So at least you won't have to deal with that blade for a little bit longer. Estel now gets to choose where he'd like to set up. Just poke while Rochester wait for their Zenyatta to come on back. Gravitic Flux is coming up for Mr. Koala Man too. So if you all funnel through one choke here, Rochester, you might get caught in the big old lift him up and slam him down. Sleep there onto Choker Man, but he'll get out of it. No worries on that one. And now that everybody's back for Rochester, they can look to pull off this rotate. Only one caught, but Blue Jay will be eliminated before he actually even touches the ground after that Gravitic Flux. And yet another beautiful opening pick for SJU.
But in the meantime, we just see this team just seeing so many ultimate abilities. They already have 5, about to have 6, and this is exactly what you want to do if you're on the attackers that just overwhelm the defenders with so many ultimates that there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. I really like seeing that Blade will definitely be coming through right away if they want to get it. They can choose now.
There's the Blade going straight into the back. Already cuts down one. Can't quite get the second. Turret shuts down Essel there, but the necessary damage has been done, it seems. Immortality Field keeping everybody in. Nano does go on to Mr. Koala Man. He'll be able to stall for a bit, but RIT aren't even worried about the Sigma at this point. They just want to get everybody else out of there while that damage reduction wears away. And now Mr. Koala Man, very vulnerable, caught in the Gravitic Flux, slammed onto the ground. And there is an opening here. There are enough picks. Flip it back on the Reinhardt is just cleaved through the entirety of Rochester.
Puppet just comes and gets 3 kills at the end, takes control of the point again. They didn't want to lose it. And in the meantime, Force and Johnson University, they just used every single ultimate ability that they had. They were saving them for that fight. And yeah, they take 1 tick of the point. That's definitely not enough. 3 minutes, 20 seconds remaining for them. So still a lot of time to build those ultimate abilities, but definitely on a big disadvantage here, knowing that we're going to be seeing that Flux once again coming for the defense side.
Full Soil swaps back to the tried and true for Rochester as they bring that Mei on out. The wall did miss initially. Be back real quick, but not quick enough for this Gravitic Flux. Already the main tank gone, and Blue Jay under so much pressure will join Link in the grave. And once both your tanks are gone, it's not much of a chance that you take this on a map like Temple of Anubis.
It's such a clean fight that it doesn't really give many opportunities for the attackers to do anything else. Once 1 or 2 of them get taken down, all you can do is just back up. This is going to be a bad timing for them. Just wait till your Mei is able to come back. More time that was used, and because those kills for defenders came through so fast, they weren't actually able to build any ultimates. So a lot of pressure into them 2 minutes, like we mentioned, and they still have a big opportunity to win, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, maybe the Coalescence can keep you in the fight a little bit once ZP Link works up to that, but still, you're a rush composition that sticks together. You're running through Dynamites. You're running through probably a Molten Core here before too long, and Essel's already gone. That's your Mei off the board. No chance to isolate enemy team members or lock them down with that freeze anymore. You just have to back up yet again, and that's the 4th time now that an early pick has given a fight over to SJU.
And for Essel, first we saw him dying last, just delaying the team a little bit more, and now he dies first, forcing the team to go back and play a little bit more passive while they wait for their main to come back. So once again, once he's back, they do have a big opportunity, but it's not going to be easy. Good initiation though.
Ooh, good Earth Shadow there. Forces out that sound barrier, and it doesn't even save Choco Man. Flip it, has to just try and stay alive. Gravitic Flux, everybody from his team supporting him as well. And once they lift it up into the air, Rich can easy hit those headshots. Beautiful hold thus far from St. John's, and they've only got to work with another minute and 10 seconds on the time bank for Rochester.
This Sigma has been consistently good at using that Flux exactly when they need to, getting a few picks every single time and putting so much damage. And it's just allowing the team so much, enabling them to play more aggressive. Even when they are defending, the Blizzard will be coming through now for the attackers, but that will only just create space. Doesn't seem to be quite enough.
Bob going on in, comes out actually from an interesting angle, but goes on to the point where it will be very effective all the same. Rich playing in such a powerful spot right now. I'm not even sure RIT knows he's there. They're going to go very forward. This is much more ambitious from him, but with so few members remaining for Rochester, I mean, why wouldn't you go on forward? It's just Essel now and easily withered away there. Only 30 seconds left for Rochester.
And after 3 fights, they're able to build the ultimate abilities that they wanted to have. They will be having that Death Blossom, so a huge opportunity for them to win. But it does have to happen now. They can get picked by Rich so early on, or they would deny the possibility of them capturing the second point. It's not going to be easy. Only 5 seconds remaining for them.
Rav chucked on in immediately. Chocoman has to get up here with the Death Blossom. Flip it, kept alive by the Immortality Field. Nothing actually removing that main tank, and while Chocoman does get 2, it's not as clean as you were maybe hoping for. Everybody removed temporarily. The spawn's very close though, and Bob is ready to contest. He will be able to stall enough time for some members to come on back, but Rich doesn't touch the point. Oh no! Not quite able to get on that one in time, and a second point that was potentially holdable for St. John's goes over to Rochester. Still, no time in the bank, so certainly a great defense from St. John's, but they could have maybe held out for just a bit more.
And it started really well as well, because we saw Bob thrown into point and the entire team looked at him. So that was a perfect opportunity for the Ash to jump there and to stall a little bit longer till the team came back. They did have the opportunity, but like you mentioned, they're not looking too bad. They did go to overtime into that attack. So this is a perfect opportunity to play a little bit more aggressive now. You want to have definitely more time, and they do have every single opportunity to do so. Very curious to see the compositions that we're going to be seeing now that the roles are going to be swapped. And it just, for now, it seems like we're going to be seeing the Junkrat being played out. I absolutely love seeing Junkrat into this map, into the defender side. So much damage that will be coming through, especially when you have Blue Jay, that is going to enable you a little bit more to have better positioning here. So big opportunities for defense to work out. But then again, just trying to stay into the first point for as long as you can would be ideal for the defender side. Once you get to the second, that's when you start getting nervous. You don't want to go to another round.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I think if you're St. John's right now, you want to clean up your attack as swiftly as possible. Get yourselves a nice time bank and not go to extra innings with any time left for RIT. That being said, though, like you were talking about, Dryad, this Junkrat is very potent here on Temple of Anubis. So many tiny chokes that you are ultimately forced to go through. Already pumping in the damage right now. Oh, Liam Lizard is going to be able to at least get away.
But it means that the damage just keeps coming through, but they do have another strategy. They will be diving, just using every ability to go run from them.
They just left Liam Lizard alone, though. The poor Honor had no chance. It was just the bait so that the rest of SJU could get back to the objective, but they need to find some picks. Rich doing a great job of that to start this one off, and now it is an odd way that SJU got here, but they got that high ground position. They forced back everybody onto the objective, and they've taken out 2 key members. Essel still coming back from spawn alongside ZP Link. So meanwhile, on the objective, you got to go now if you want to actually have this player advantage.
But will it be enough? There's a lot of time was spent right at the beginning, and it just puts a little pressure into the attackers now.
And already pumping in damage into Mr. Koala Man so low, even with that Primal Rage. Attack Visor at the ready. Now Choco Man just wants to try and get the Diva out of mech. Goes around, smacks the Mercy in the face a couple times, but ultimately can't stop the resurrection from coming on through. And Rich has actually been putting in an absurd amount of work on this Widowmaker already. I'd love to see the final blow count for this man on this map.
Really good performance from Rich, like you mentioned, always allowing the team to... He's able to get a few picks and then enable the team to push, play a little bit more aggressive, knowing that they have that number advantage. He's been doing so good now that Impressive will be ready to the next fight, but also so many ultimate abilities that are ready for the defense. They didn't use them before, so now you know they will be used. If you can invest a few of them, even when you lose the fight, this would be an ideal situation for the attackers.
Oh, Rich Thought he was going to hit that headshot. No dice there, and Mr. Koala Man already gone to the Riptire there. That should be an easy stall to this push, and not too difficult of a fight to hold on to for RIT. And they only have to use the Riptire to get it done. Rich gets the one on the Choco Man, but again, with the main tank of Winston gone, this isn't really much of an opening.
A few ults were missed there, so if you are on the attacker side, you're not looking too bad. We see that Rich still gonna find a few picks, and also everyone else is just looking at him, not letting him get any value like you would want to. But it's just a big opportunity. 4 minutes still remaining, so there's still a chance for them.
And the second point is harder to make Widowmaker work on anyways. Ooh, harder to stay alive on for Bizarre. Just gets blown to smithereens by Essel, who is relentless right now. And this is the great thing about the Junkrat. Whether it's point A or point B, Temple of Anubis is such an enclosed map that Essel can just face tank anyone who he wants to and chuck in so much damage.
3 minutes 45 remaining, so that was a pretty fast fight. Not looking too bad in the meantime. They do have a visor for Chocoman. He's had a really great performance so far, so there's a big opportunity. He can get a few picks. They just need to figure out how they want to push in. If you're on the attacker side, you haven't really figured it out. Sometimes we see a few of them going right and then get taken down. Then you try to go mid and also get taken down. So what's the strategy going to be? You would have to play together if you want to win the fight as soon as possible.
And that time bank is still comfortably over 3 minutes, but whittling away. Self-destruct goes forward, just creates some space to enter here, but already, wow, Milky Man, or not Milky Man, rather Mr. Koala Man getting blown to smithereens, and Flippit gonna join him. Both tanks already gone, even with the investment coming out from the attacking team from SJU. It's going to be pretty tricky to make this work. One gets Rez and Rich, finding the necessary picks to at least keep SJU in the conversation on second point. Slurpee does go down, though. Caught by that Gravitic Flux. Choco Man threatening with that tack visor, but mostly just kept at bay. One tick, make it two, taken by SJU already. The Nano does keep Choco Man on the objective for a good amount of time. Immortality Field to boot, and now the respawn's coming back for Rochester as they look to clean this one up and lock it down. Prevent St. John's from capping right now.
Actually got a really good performance, just making sure that he's trying to keep the team alive, but also getting 2 picks at the end. It's looking really, really good for this team. The Cypress will be coming through like we're seeing right now, and in the meantime, just a few takes is not looking too bad, but only 2 minutes remaining, so more pressure that this team will have coming back. Essel does have a big chance on this Tracer. I like seeing this hero and being played out, but as they say, like, he swaps into the main. So once again, just seeing a lot of aggression coming through from them. They want to defend as much as they can. They want to wall them off, and this is exactly what we'll be seeing coming to the next fight.
May and Junkrat, the hero pool of Essel. I can only imagine how people feel about this guy when he goes into ranked. But here in competitive Overwatch, it doesn't matter how you're getting the W, it's just that you are. And Essel and Nasty thus far on the May. Amplification Matrix forcing such an awkward position here for St. John's. And what a disgusting headshot from Essel with that right click. Who hits those? That's so messed up. Easily gets that opening pick onto Liam Lizard, and now it's so difficult to actually rotate out of this awkward position. If you're SJU, they just have to disengage.
They're going to be going back and only a minute remaining, so this could be one last fight territory if they make it happen now. They could have 2, but it's not going to be full if one of them is just not getting to the point as soon as they can. That Blitzer will be coming through, creating a lot of space, and so we'll be using this soon, that Blossom as well.
Bizarre in a nasty spot here, manages to pick up 3 despite an Immortality Field, and St. John's, their time is wearing thin, but they can still get it done, and they will. 1 minute 35 to 1 minute on the board. Not the blazing time bank St. John's were hoping for, but they keep themselves alive in this series, and at this point, I think you'll take that.
Reaper just coming up on top, getting those final blows at the end. That Dead Blossom looks so good. The classic Reaper strategy, just go into the high ground, jump into them. You definitely always get a few kills. So it's just looking so good for them. It seemed like they were in a really risky situation, but they finally take control of it. And that was all that they needed. 1 minute and 35 remaining for this team, and they need only 1 remaining because we did see St. John's going into overtime, but at least they have an opportunity to go into the next round. We'll see how the compositions are going to change. I absolutely love seeing this jump pad like we saw at the beginning, looking so good. That main to second point was absolutely amazing. That DPS lineup so far has just been a highlight into the compositions that they decided to play. We see a few really, really good plays from the tanks, but overall the ones that are getting those constant picks are the DPS lineup, whether you want to go with the Reaper, whether you want to be a Widowmaker. And it just seems like for now they don't want to play the snipers because there's more risk of not getting as much value as you would want to. Bizarre though, that we will be seeing this going into the hands of.
Well, and if you run double sniper here, there's such a risk that you don't find anything, right? I mean, at least with the Pharah, the Hanzo, you've got enough spam, so where you can be pretty confident that you're dealing damage, you're applying pressure on to Rochester right now. Teleport, quick rotate, easy access to the objective for Rochester right now. They're going to set up turrets to keep themselves lodged on the objective. Still need to find a pick. Chocoman going down early, so you're not going to have a chance for that photon barrier late into this fight. You need to start getting picks, Rochester. You haven't even gotten a tick on the objective, and it instead seems like everything is going the way of St. John's right now. Not a lot of time for Rochester. They're going to get one haphazard fight, maybe.
20 seconds remaining for them. No ultimate abilities that will be used at Coil. This could be a big opportunity, but it has to be built up just now. The flux that will be ready in the meantime for the defenders looks so good if you're able to lift some of the players into the air and then bring some more damage. Ideal situation for this team.
Blue Jay at least able to get to the objective. Rochester desperately need to stick on it. As St. John's, though, they actually lose their Orisa, their main tank. They need to chuck out ultimates to make this work, and Rich only finds one with the barrage. Gravitic Flux at the ready. Mr. Koala Man's so low, and he can't seem to get the necessary damage. St. John's, they can't dig their heels in. They can't keep it locked down, and even though there were only 20 seconds for Rochester, they'll get point A unlocked.
Overtime, so they don't have much time to touch the point. It's going to be just one fight for them to try to get some value out of it. A few ultimates that will be coming. Ooh. Oh, but you can take it over Rich right away.
Luckily, it's a Tracer. Essel will be back relatively quickly here. And Wrecking Ball, once again, Blue Jay ready to contest the objective. And at this point, when you had so little time to start off, I think every % you can gain is worthwhile. Blue Jay slept on the low ground there. Does actually get woken up by Rich, and the touch will come out regardless. Nice anti-nade coming out from Liam Lizard. Forces Essel to recall and Blue Jay to abscond. Chocoman going down sloping, barely able to pull off the res and get away with his life. Now Flip It is going to be hitting the floor, both main tanks actually. But still DPS doing so much work. There is the minefield as well coming out from Blue Jay, zoning St. John's off of the objective. And Mr. Koala Man once again shut down mid-Gravitic Flux. One tick already taken by Rochester. Its second one almost insured as the Tac Visor comes to clean this up. This could be the 1 minute double cap for Rochester, and it is. How devastating for St. John's.
Yeah, how did it make it happen? It's absolutely amazing at the end. Really good performance. It did go once again, just taking a little bit longer for them to take control of the situation. But it's just, they finally do it, and this is just so good for them being able to capture both points. That means you still have another opportunity, even if your defense doesn't look too good now. Now, what puts pressure now is now how we're going to be seeing the team of St. John's trying to play now. The composition seemed to be kind of settled. Both teams really know exactly what they want to play. How can they get value out of them every single time? And if Rich can get some value out of this Widowmaker at the beginning, that would be really, really good. We'll see if we're going to be actually seeing this pick from the hero. We have to wait a little bit longer, but in the meantime, Chocoman does still have an opportunity to make that comeback. Again, both of the DPS lineups for these teams have had a really good performance, and it just more depends on who gets those kills first, because even when they win those fights at the beginning, that doesn't guarantee you're going to be having ultimates for the next fight.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Dryad. With how little time there is, first pick is going to be so pivotal for either team. Rich and Essel, I'm looking at these two players to enable their team, get their team that first lead, and start to snowball on either attack or defense. Rich with that first jump shot, not going to find much of an angle. And the question I have is, do you think that St. John's are going to go for the same rotate they did their first time around? Because it was rather ambitious, boosting all the way up through that little window there. It does seem like they're actually just going for the same thing, but once again, once that happens, oh, Liam Blizzard is left on an island, and that island is hit by a meteor. Rochester not letting that Ana get away with much of anything. Rich still over by the spawn, applying a second angle. That Rochester need to worry about, but we're running out of time here for him to actually find this pick, and oh, great shield from Blue Jay to shut that down.
That strategy that they had in that rotation was just so risky. Now they still have some time, but you ideally want to win this fight now. It has to happen. 30 seconds remaining for the team of Philippines that will be built up, but it doesn't seem like they will be using time.
And already Flip It is gone. So is Bazaar. It's only Mr. Koala Man who can really hope to contest the objective. You need a pick right now if you are Rich. I don't know how that res happens in the entirety of Rochester. Kudos to Slurpee for finding that one, but the goal is still the same. The problems still remain, and now Mr. Koala Man has met his grave. He will not be able to contest. It is down to just Bazaar. No Wraith Form available. At least triggers the overtime, but Tac Visor locking this down for Choco Man. Dragon Strike to boot. Rochester don't even flinch and get their 3-0 to continue their winning streak. They're now 2-0 here in EGF Overwatch.
This is one of the strongest teams that we have on this tournament. They're absolutely insane. You can see the level that they have. Every single time they knew exactly how to win fights. They knew exactly what to play, how to counter the enemy team. These are the essentials of this level of Overwatch, where you need to be good at adapting into any composition, any situation that could happen. Absolutely amazing to see this happening from them. And for St. John's University, they actually weren't looking too bad. They were just struggling a lot to figure out where they wanted to play, what the positioning was, and it just RIT, insane performance from beginning to end. The tanks always with the shields, making sure that the supports don't get picked, and also the DPS getting those picks very early on. The support is always keeping everyone alive and also putting a little bit of damage. So really, everything you can expect from them.
Yeah, and I gotta shout out Essel, man. Essel was monstrous. You know, I poked a little bit fun at the May and the Junkrat. You know, they're not exactly the what's the word I'm looking for? Most loved picks by a lot of the community, but also flexed on to some other heroes, made the Hanzo look very good, the Tracer at certain points too. So kudos to Essel. I really feel was a dominant force in that DPS line for Rochester in this match.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm just curious to see what is going to happen with this two teams. The St. John's takes their first loss here. That doesn't mean it'll be over for them. They still have a lot of opportunities to win.
Oh, yeah.
In the meantime, Rochester just looking so strong, they don't want to lose.
Oh, yeah, for St. John's, there's plenty of Overwatch left to be played for them this season, but I believe that is it for the Overwatch to be played for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us here at EGF Overwatch. My name has been Possible. Alongside me has been the incredible and intelligent Dryad, and our producer has been the amazing, observant Colton. So thank you all for joining us. Make sure you're following here and over on Twitter so that you can keep the support going for Collegiate Overwatch, and we will see you all next week.